Well, it says we are live, and let's see what happens. Bear with me a second, because I don't know if I could actually. Let me go to YouTube and see what I
Okay,
see there.
it's giving me the prompt to go to watch live now. So I think you are live because I just got
Yep.
a notification from YouTube that you're live.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Okay. Well,
yeah.
we are live. So, welcome to the Citizen Science Podcast. And I am Rebecca Benningfield. And this is Jesus Marquez, longtime Sky
Hi, everybody.
Friends. And this is a beta testing recording, or not really recording, we're going live. This is a last minute idea that we thought would be a good time to hop on live and surprise people. We'll talk about Samuel Hofman and his discovery and disclosure of our binary twin solar system that is, needs to be talked about more. We need to be sharing this information because everybody deserves to know what's really happening.
Absolutely.
So
And I
bear
and
with
I
me.
feel like a lot of people, even though they don't know what's happening, they sense something is amiss.
Right.
I feel that even for people who have no clue where to begin with this topic, I think there's a lot of people out there that sense something is wrong, something is different, something has changed.
Right, right. There's a lot of people I see, just from what I observe in other groups and on TikTok, definitely people are talking about it. They know something is different, but they
Yeah,
don't know what.
but they have no point of reference to get to this information,
Right,
and
except the disinformation. That's what
yes,
they
exactly.
gravitate towards because
And
they
what
are
it
looking
and
for
what it
answers.
yes, and what it does is that kind of just pushes you away, because that kind of
Right,
happened to me in the beginning. There was so much crap out there that it almost pushed me away from being like, okay, this is just another crazy conspiracy that there's no validation, not
right.
based on reality, because a lot of the crap out there is really bad, just really bad.
No, I know. And when people they are so invested and the years of study that they've put into this wrong information and they're not willing to let go of it
Yes, yes,
usually, and
yes.
then you're stuck, you know being told that you're wrong because they are just their minds
And,
are made up.
and people hate that. People hate that.
Right, right. I'm going to message Sam and tell him I believe we're live. I can't really see it from a YouTube standpoint, so give me 1 second. I think. Okay. Because Sam was wanting to check it out, and I sent a message to our group on Facebook, and I should copy that and send it over to Sam's group and see how big of a group we can get pulled together here. So
Nice.
bear with me a second. Like I said, this was not completely planned out. Originally, I was going to record talking to Jesus, and
I
then
thought we were gonna go live the whole
I
time.
know we didn't really
You
clarify,
know,
and
I
we had
just
two different
assumed. I just
ideas.
assumed. I just
Right.
assumed. Well,
But I love the idea of doing but this is why we're doing it. 2 hours later or whatever, we've been, getting set up for this. So, all right. And then this is just the beginning of many, I mean, this is the first of many,
I
many,
can't wait to see some of our other members.
because we have,
I hope that they're open to this. If not, well,
right.
we'll understand. But I really hope that a lot of people do get out of their comfort zone, because I know we're all in our own little bubble sometimes, and it's kind of difficult to come out public with this. It
Yes.
took me a long time to kind of get into that comfort zone. Still, I can't believe I'm here, but I've been forcing myself to do things that I wouldn't normally do. So this is great. I am excited to talk about this because I feel like I walk around every day with this information that I have nothing I can do with it. And it's frustrating. It frustrates me that
Mhm.
I want to share it. I'm a sharer. I think we all of us here are. I want to share it with everybody, and most of the people around me refuse it. Just refuse it, and it's really.
Right.
I really hope this opens at least some eyes to at least get people curious and get the ball rolling. Because I do agree with what Leandra said the other day. It's one of those things that you can't really teach somebody. You could just kind of plant the seed, and then they have to kind of do it on their own.
Right. Right. And
Um,
it takes time. You can't
it
just
takes
expect to
Yes, it does. It takes a long
figure it
time.
all out in a few weeks or even a few
No,
months.
no, it
There's
does not
so
work.
much to this.
It does not work that way. You have to.
No.
You can only learn so much from videos and stuff. But I always say the best way to learn is just getting out there.
Right. Right. I was just going to show you if it would let me. Yeah, there it is. We are live.
Oh, nice, nice.
Yeah. Surprise. Okay. Well, cool. Cool. I mean, why not, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
we're doing
so-
we're doing it. We're doing it. We're doing it.
All right. I hope Sam's watching. I did send him a message, so we'll see. I mean, I was going to check see if I can watch the comments from my phone because
Hopefully,
unless
it's
I
not.
can figure it out a way. I mean, there is a learning curve here, So everybody, give me a. Let's see. All right. Okay, so I'm going to copy this over to Sam's group. 1 second. And then, because this is, like I said, really surprise. Okay. Okay, that's Montana. How are the skies where you live today, Jesus? Because it was
After that last post that I did, which was happening while we were talking that morning about this.
Yes.
We had some major rain bombs after that, which makes sense because it wasn't a pesky. Sam said it was a pesky, which I
Okay.
kind of expected.
Cool.
And
Right.
we had some major rain bomb that afternoon. Not that day, but that night, that following night, that same day, that at night was some major. We had some major rain bomb over here. So now
Okay.
it's a little cloudy outside, but nothing too exciting. It hasn't been the most active, at least in my area, has not been the most active cycle.
Right. No, I mean I definitely notice, we have like 3 days in a row where it's really noteworthy picture days, followed
Yeah.
by the same about 2 or 3 days where it's minimal at most,
You know what it is really, that it's not too photogenic sometimes.
Right.
No, so
Right.
if
I
it's not
always wait for my
photogenic, I'm
turn.
like, well, I could just see it for myself, but I can't really record nothing. So it's,
Right. You can't
but
capture.
I think, at this moment they're a little bit more on top of us, a little higher above than usual. So they're a little bit more distant, because what's been happening is that they've been coming in and then they go up, they go up high and then they just go out of view, completely out of view. So that's kind of been happening. It's like a very short window and then they just go out of view. But I think they're going past Earth. I think because what Sam was saying is they're passing Earth. It should be interesting to see once they pass Earth. I think the illuminations are going to get more prevalent, and it should be interesting.
Exactly. I know. I mean, he told me that he calculates that we could expect to see them for approximately another 9 to 15 years still. So we just passed the halfway point, he said, this summer.
Yeah.
Right. So we just passed the halfway. And something else he said that grabbed my attention is, that it's not Nibiru coming to us. It's us going to Nibiru because it's Earth passing through this other solar system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I thought that was,
when I learned that one was very interesting. But
right.
Okay, let's just kind of start from the beginning. I think a lot of people here are still kind of new, so let's again, we introduce ourselves, but let's just start from the beginning and how I've always been curious how you started, but let's
Okay.
and then we'll go, because I've never really heard your story.
Okay, I can do that. Give me 1 second. I just shared it in Sam's group. I shared it in Sam and my group. We got several groups. I got
a
Nibiru Followers Anonymous 2. Let's drop it there. And okay. Give me 1 second. All right, I'm going to just say it on TikTok. Nothing fancy. I'm just going to say going live on YouTube. Check it out. That's it. It's very simple. Very simple. It's just black with white letters. You know? Okay, so I got it. I shared it to TikTok. Okay. Give me 1 moment.
It's a pretty cool app. You know, you can go
It
live.
is. I mean, they
Facebook,
make it very easy to operate. You know,
right?
this
Facebook,
StreamYard service.
YouTube, TikTok.
Right.
That's three pretty good platforms.
And if right now I'm currently blocked or suspended on TikTok. That happened yesterday, so I have 7 days to sit out. You know, so you know, and I know, but
you've been getting a lot of that. You've been getting a lot.
I have a lot. It's like, you know, too much, really. But and then I tell myself, I mean, considering what I'm talking about, it's to be expected. It just is, and I know what Sam is
and also because you're the administrator of Nibiru Followers Anonymous, which has what 60,000 members now, I believe.
Right.
That's huge. I think occasionally some of my videos get not as much as I expect them to, but because I'm not the administrator of a Facebook group, I don't think I get messed with that much because I'd like to think I kind of run underneath underneath, you know, kind of underneath the radar, so to speak. So.
Yeah, right. I know, but the stuff you're showing is, I mean, it shows if people knew what they were seeing when they looked at your videos, you know, and how they really are, just like Sam's drawing
Absolutely.
live. You know, I mean, I can just picture what drawing it is that goes with whatever. You know, if people really knew what they were seeing when they watched them, it would be even more blown away.
But isn't it crazy? Sam will make a drawing, right?
Yeah.
And I swear to you, it's not even a week later where I see the exact
or the same day.
I take the video, I take pictures, and it's exactly to the T of his drawing.
Right.
It is. I can never get used to that. I can never get used to that. It's the craziest thing. It kind of scares me sometimes how accurate he is because a lot of the things, you know, I think a lot of this, it takes time to really sink in. You know, it's been 6 years. I think for both of us, a little more than 6 years. And
I know I don't remember what month I started Sam's group, but we started within the first few weeks of each other.
Yeah.
Same year, same summer.
And I still have days where I question my own sanity, where I'm like, am I crazy? And then the skies go nuts, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not crazy. This is really happening, you know.
Right. Okay, it really is. I mean, I have a stand here. I'm getting my phone set up where I can see the chat on YouTube now. So I see Nancy, I see Stevie Williams, I see several Rocket Men. I see several. Hi, everybody. So I have to
nice of you guys to join us.
I think it's just this camera. Okay. I got too many screens looking at me. And it looks like, I got plenty of battery. So, like I said, if you haven't been watching and you just now joined, this is a very last of the minute, last spur of a moment idea that Jesus and I decided to go live. You know, we were originally, in my mind, I thought I was going to record. I don't know why. I mean, a podcast usually is live, you know, but anyway, this is our new podcast, Nibiru Followers Anonymous, and this is called the Citizen Science Podcast. Let me put the banner there. And that's what we're doing. I mean, I've sent messages out to our members on Facebook, and I believe there's a message on TikTok. So right now we have looks like 19 people that have joined us, which is great for, like I said,
It's not a bad start.
right. No, it's not.
When
No,
you
it's
and
not.
Deandra went live the other day, it started. It started like at 3 people, and then it jumped up to like 30, and then 50, and I don't know what it ended up at. So
I've had, honestly, on TikTok, I've had some way, way big numbers, like in the thousands. But that was when I first started, and now it's in the
yeah,
hundreds. You know, the
yeah,
other
that
day,
happened. Some of my first videos got about a few thousand views, and then the following videos, nothing. 50 views, 100
yeah,
views,
that's
and
what happened. Well, the other day, get this.
they've been staying there. So I haven't even bothered posting there anymore. Honestly,
I know.
maybe it's a little negative. Sometimes maybe I should keep trying. I don't know. Maybe I should keep trying. But anyways,
No, you should. I mean,
yeah,
honestly,
yeah,
I get
you should.
discouraged on certain things when I get, like I was telling you about things getting blocked and disabled, and it is discouraging. But I'm like, I always think about Sam at that point. And I'm like, no, if he could, go through all this for years and years and years, bigger and better, things, I can
Sam
handle
has been
whatever.
he's been through different partners that went
I
sideways.
know. I
He's
know.
gone through people who have passed away. Um, recently, I'm drawing a blank.
Lucinda.
Lucinda.
Yeah,
Um,
Lucinda.
what's his name? Bob. And I think is a bit Bobby.
Right. Is it, yeah, Bobby?
Bobby
Yeah.
recently passed away. He was pretty close to Sam. So Sam's been through a lot through through this whole journey. So I think he's taught us something that we ain't gonna learn anywhere else. So I think it's important. I feel this is our way to kind of give back and
I agree.
pay it forward.
Right. Because just by you and I talking about this and posting, and all of it adds up, because then people share what we share. It's like a domino effect, and I
Yeah,
see it
yeah.
growing. I totally see it growing, and deep down, I keep telling Sam, I'm like, we are truly on the verge of this going big. I just feel it. I just do.
I hope. I really, really. I'm hopeful because I feel we're at a time where people are a little bit, and in particular the younger generation, I think is a little bit more open to alternative thinking. You know,
Right.
I think the older you are, the harder it is for people to get with something new. Um, uh, but I think this newer generation, I think is a little bit more open to new information and new ways of looking at the
Right.
world because I think the world that's presented to us just no just is it's
No,
not
it's
based
like
in
a
reality
fantasy.
at all.
It's not real.
And I think it's the hardest part of all this is to accept that it's something I struggled with so much. When you actually see these planets, when you actually learn to see it, and you learn that, and you're seeing them, you have to question everything in everything that you thought was real, everything that everything. I mean, I can't watch TV, I can't watch the news anymore without getting frustrated or annoyed
Right.
because it's just I know different, and I think it's a big pill to swallow, and it's one of the reasons why a lot of people refuse this information because it is a lot. Like I get it, it is a huge pill to swallow, but it's something that anybody can learn. Everybody can learn this. Anybody can learn this. You just have to put the time in and actually get out there and learn this. But it's not complicated. I think I don't want to use too big words, but these NASA in particular makes all this to be so complicated. And as Sam has said before, it's something that we all can learn. It's very very learnable. It just takes a little bit of time, and you have to think. You have to set aside what you think about a lot of things, and it's difficult to do that for some people.
Right. No, I know. I know. I mean, it took years for all of this to really sink in for me. I mean, I remember um like one of my favorite pictures of Nibiru, and I wish I had to show you. I mean, I wasn't prepared for us to go live, and I don't have the slides set up, and I have them set up on my phone, but since I'm blocked from Google right now, I can't access them to
Well,
send them to the computer. They blocked my
that is the only good part of recording is that you could kind of go back and then kind of
right. I mean, this is like there's going to be more and more shows. This isn't our first
yeah,
only
yeah.
show, so I apologize. I really don't have the photos like I would like to have. Okay, but next time we'll have a show. So, but this is just really us to more so introduce ourselves and who we are and how we found Sam and how we know what he is saying is actually really happening. I mean, it's because we've learned how to see them. But what I was going to say is one of my favorite pictures of Nibiru is actually one that I took. I think you see it. I
I
share it
love that.
often.
I know exactly what picture you're talking
It's
about.
the skyline of Tulsa. And
It's
I
an
mean, I was
epic
at a red
photo.
light and I
Epic.
rolled down the passenger window and I reach out and I film it for a second. I like maybe 15 seconds. And anyway, I remember Sam, at the time, that was 2018, December 2018. I remember him saying Nibiru, right? And I couldn't see it. I couldn't see it yet it was the whole sky. You know,
I remember when you posted that picture. I still wasn't seeing it either. I still wasn't seeing it. I was still
it's
thinking.
so big,
I was still thinking small. I was still thinking too small.
right? Like, okay, for example, for those that maybe are sure what I'm just for example, this backdrop behind me where it shows that planet, right? Isn't that pretty? That is similar to the size of the lead object when it's really close, which is one of the main asteroids in this other solar system. So it looks like that in your photographs, or maybe the size of Ice Adam's moon from a distance. But that's what we're talking about. And then the planets are like, swallow that. That's how big they are.
Yeah.
They fill the whole sky.
Sky fillers, literally sky.
Yeah, I mean the whole sky. Everybody, I have so many people that are trying to see it. They're like, I'm trying to figure out how to see it, and I'm like, no. I mean, if you're looking up, you're seeing them.
Yeah.
That's just it. You're seeing them.
We're not. We don't naturally look at things that big. We only look at what our peripheral vision can see. It's one of the
Right.
reasons why I use, and I got a lot of crap about this, about using wide angle cameras and camera lenses. Yes, it does kind of warp the image, but it also gives you more a wider view. And I'll use whatever I use different methods in my videos, my pictures. I'll use my phone sometimes. I'll use a different camera. I will use whatever I gotta use to get that in view.
Right.
But it's just so big. It's just so big that a lot of people just can't. You have to teach yourself to look at things in a broader view.
I got one picture.
Oh,
I can
nice.
show you that one. I do have that one saved. I've still been practicing on. You can't on this service. You can't just go save them to your computer or from your computer. You have to go to what's called Google Slides and create a slide for it. And I have a whole show I've been creating on my cell phone. It's put together mostly on my cell phone, but I can't get it to mine. I don't know until I get my Google straightened out. So, but that's what
So
this is nipicity, just so everybody knows. Like for instance, these clouds here, this particular effect is specifically related to the planet nipicity. So we all seen these striped clouds, and unfortunately, a lot of people are misled into believing it's HARP, that is man-made by frequencies.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I know it's a everyday battle, with people that have been misinformed, when really, HARP is the cover up, one of the many cover ups to be able to just explain it all away. Like, this is totally natural,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not. I mean, it is totally natural. I mean, when they want you to think it's man-made. So in the blue area, see how it's blue, and then all of a sudden it's like light, creamy yellow. Well,
Well, that's another reason why people are missing this too, is that they
uh-huh.
blend in. They look blue. So when people look up at the sky, it's blue, and people they just assume it's our blue sky. It's not. There's depth there. They look blue just like our skies look blue too. And there's certain times of the day that you will see their colors depending on lighting, walls, and the lighting and all that. Usually the morning, sunrises, sunsets. But if you're looking at them midday, they're gonna look blue. And I think that's what confuses people. Is that most of what we see, we're seeing it midday. Um, and they look blue, and I think that confuses a lot of people. They just assume. Another thing is, this is what people would expect to see. This is what's literally happening in this picture right here, but it's
Uh-huh.
not going to look exactly like that. It's
Well, that's what people are waiting for. I mean, they're waiting
yes,
for it.
yes.
I
They're
keep
waiting
telling
for
people
CGI planets, and it
it'll
doesn't
probably
work that
never,
way.
right. It'll never really look like that because each of these other planets are wrapped, they're all wrapped in their own atmospheres and their own clouds. And that's what we see. Like most of the clouds we see are clouds from other planets
Yes,
like
I want
that.
to really, I want to emphasize on that. Clouds are not specific to Earth. Other planets have clouds as well.
I love that. I
You know,
remember you saying that one other time. I'm like, I mean, really, when you think about that, you realize, of course not.
yeah, yeah,
So, and that's how close these other planets actually are passing. I can't believe it. Sometimes you just feel claustrophobic because of
yes.
it, you know?
That's another thing. I don't know, I'm sure you get this too, but I could feel them sometimes. I get dizzy.
Yeah.
I work nights, right? I occasionally will work late enough that I see the sun come up. I recently had this pretty, maybe a few months back at the beginning of this 180-day cycle. I had it where I was feeling nauseous and dizzy, and I was wondering what is going on. Why do I feel this way? And sure enough, as soon as the sun comes up, there it is, and I'm like, okay, that's what it was. That's exactly because as soon as it popped into view, that feeling got even much stronger, and I'm like, okay, that's what's going on. That's what happened. I was maybe thinking maybe something I ate or something, but it was just the
No.
weirdest feeling of something. It gave me anxiety. It gives you anxiety. Makes you nauseous and dizziness, and my ears go nuts. It's like I've been deaf for the past 6 years. Um, it's not gone away. It comes and goes, but my ears are constantly. I get earaches. I get a lot of that. So you could literally sense these things. I don't understand how people. I get why people don't see them. I get it because it's really something you have to learn. But I can feel it every time they come into view. It's just this feeling of overwhelming, overwhelming feeling sometimes.
Yeah. No, I know. I remember Lucinda always talking about specifically Atu's moon, how it makes people more moody or sad
Irritable,
or
irritable.
aggressive,
Yeah.
you
Yes.
know.
Yes.
So sorry, that was kind of loud. For those that you don't know, I told Jesus I'm actually on my front porch in this evening. Um, the weather is beautiful. I don't know what temperature, but it's probably 70 or whatever. It's really nice, but we're all expecting that cold front. I know a good portion of the United States is, and I can't. I saw the radar, showing that cold front. Is it going to get you, Jesus?
You know what? I haven't been paying attention to the weather.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been working really late nights, so it's why I
I
haven't been
hear you.
posting much lately because I've been working the night shift, so I haven't had much chance to really. I hate working nights because it's just a lot of lost time, and most of the stuff happens in the day, so I've been missing a lot of it.
Yeah. Well, I understand. I mean, who knows? Maybe one day that will change if you want it to.
Yeah.
You know, just depends.
Yeah. No, I have my moments where I kind of switch on my schedule, but
Right.
unfortunately, the money's better at night. So
Oh yeah. I
you gotta, you
right.
gotta,
I
yeah. If it's a financial thing, you gotta do what you gotta do.
yeah, I get it.
But
So I
I do wanna get back to how we came across Sam. You know,
that's yeah, I was gonna say I was going through my questions that I had put together and I was checking the comments on different places. So give me 1 second.
sure. Yeah.
I'm in looks like okay, we got people on YouTube. Cool. Happy everybody's here. We have 17 people
No,
on YouTube at the moment and several, let's see here, 11 on my Facebook group have expressed their
did
happiness.
Sam ever get back to you?
Hey, let me check and see. I said, I think we're live. I think, okay, we are live. We are, I don't know. He may be watching. He's not really able to chime in on YouTube as far as I know. I can't, I
Yeah,
don't think he's able
his
to
YouTube
comment.
account is really restricted.
But, hmm, just checking the comments. I've never seen Sam be able to comment on YouTube. I think his account is
Yeah, his YouTube is very restricted.
right. You're right. Okay. That's what I thought. So we'll just believe he's watching because he knew this was the plan. So and he hasn't messaged me to ask about where are you guys. So I feel like he's watching. So yes, let's talk
Let's
about
assume he's
for a
watching.
moment. Yeah, I'll tell you how I found him. Um, it was back in 2014, and honestly, I was just curious about Nibiru. I was in a really religious place in my life, and Nibiru kept coming up with the end times scenario. So that's what really spurred it off was I'm curious, like, how does Nibiru affect end times? And luckily, one of the first people I found or videos I found on YouTube was Sam's. So I thankfully I didn't get a lot of preconceived ideas about Nibiru being this red planet behind the sun, because
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
mostly what you
yeah.
find. I mean, I feel like I'm super fortunate that I didn't hit that path.
You skipped all the garbage.
Yeah. I mean, I found Sam pretty right off the bat, and I remember I had him on speaker playing it, on YouTube, and I'd listen to it while I clean house or whatever, and I didn't have a clue what he was talking about. I just liked hearing him talk because I could tell
His
whatever it was, he was very
his
into it.
voice his way of speaking really captures your
Yeah,
attention.
I
Yes,
could tell.
absolutely.
Well, I could hear the honesty in his voice.
Yes.
Seriously. I'm going to switch this back. There. I like that better now. But I
Yeah,
could hear the honesty in his voice. And so that's really what, captured. That was 2014. And I didn't really, at that time, I was just fascinated by the sunsets. I mean, I can remember how intense red and yellow the sunsets were, like the sun. And I would take pictures, not having, any idea what was
you
happening.
subconsciously notice the changes without really putting that together.
Yeah.
I think that happened to a lot of us, to most of us, to all of us, probably.
I think so. I think so, and it's not something that everybody has. Like you were just saying a little bit ago, everybody has to go through all the steps and motions. You can't, or I think, like you said, it was Leandra that was saying that. You can only just give them the direction to go, and they have to want it, and they have to study and take pictures.
And that's why people get frustrated with Sam, because Sam has a way of doing things that works.
Yeah.
That absolutely works. He doesn't give it all to you. He just kind of
Right.
leads you. He kind of leads you to the place where you can learn yourself. And as he said in videos before, when people learn that way, it's a lot more meaningful. It's a lot more of a deeper learning.
Yeah.
It's really easy to just ask for the answers, and I think we all kind of did that at first. And as you go, I realize why Sam does the way he does things the way he does. Because if you go to any other group, you can see what happens when things are just not kept in order. It gets really bad. The stuff that people post out there.
No, I know, because then it's a free for all, which is a disinformation group.
Yes.
I mean, when you have a group where anybody can post anything Nibiru, then what have you learned?
No.
You just learn a lot of different ideas about Nibiru, but there's no cohesiveness, and that's not the direction. We have it in my group and Sam's group, our group, and
so you came across him in 2014, but you didn't really join Montana Skywatch,
right? That's just funny.
What's the story?
I had my life kind of was going up and down. I mean, I was moving around a lot, and then I got settled, and I kind of just picked up where I left off. And again, I went to YouTube and found him. I didn't remember his name or anything, but I happened to track him down for a second time in 2017. And that's when I joined his group, just as a real quiet member. I didn't say or comment anything.
Because I remember you weren't so involved in the beginning.
I was behind the scenes, but you know what I would do is, seriously, every day I would, scroll through the post and click on the comments of each one, just looking to see if Sam had commented and what it was. That was really, I did. I just kind of wanted to see what Sam said about this, what Sam said about that, and then, over time, I'd take a screenshot of it and make myself a, beginner level comparison, just to use kind of like as flashcards. I'd save it and I'd be like, well, this is what Sam said this was, and this is what Sam said that, so that's how I learned it, and you do that, over years and years, and eventually you start putting
you'll eventually notice the patterns.
It's like this massive puzzle, and it's like piece after piece, and then it starts to fit together, and you can see it fitting.
And then it gets so exciting once you start seeing everything mesh together. It gets so exciting. It was the most. It's still exciting to me, but I think that beginning stages were just amazing. Just kind of learning and seeing everything come together was just a great experience.
Yeah. Well, and also something else that I feel like is ironic is the fact that, so in 2017, I joined his group, and that's when I created Nibiru Followers Anonymous. But it wasn't because I could see the planets or anything. It was nothing like that. It was because I just wanted to I wanted to have a site mostly for me, I thought, and I was just going to chronicle my own pictures every day. I'd post what I took. I really didn't think about people joining as a group, but they could if they wanted to. And that's how it started, and
what year was that? What year did you
2017.
Really?
I joined Sam's group, and I was such a sky fan and liked to take pictures. And that was really all that was going on at that time. I started my own group, just for sky people, but it wasn't because I could see the planets. I didn't start to really see the planets till 2020. What a year, 2020, but it's when I could start to see them. I started to see the curves, and I was making videos, and when you make a video and you can see them go by, and you watch the clips, you can watch like time-lapse videos. You can see.
Well, that's part of the whole learning process. It's not just so I think it starts by being outside and looking at the skies, but um, recording, taking pictures because we miss so much. Our eyes miss so much, and things move relatively slow. You know, when you're out there and you're just looking at things, it looks like things ain't even moving. But if you time lapse it, you'll realize that things are
Yeah.
actually moving rather quickly. We just don't perceive that ourselves.
Right. Because you would think, like, for instance, an asteroid, you would think
Yeah,
an
everybody's
asteroid's just
expecting
flying
it to
by,
hit.
but and it
Yes.
is, but they're so far away, they look like they're motionless until you
Yes,
get a
and
time
also
lapse
because
going.
we're moving too. So I use this as an example to people. It's like going down the highway. If
Uh-huh.
you're right next to a car that's going 60 miles an hour too, it doesn't look like it's moving really fast. But if you're to stop by the highway and just stand there, you realize that these things are actually moving really fast. But we're moving and the asteroids are moving too. So it
Right.
doesn't look that fast, but things are moving relatively pretty fast. You
It
just don't,
really is.
we don't perceive it that way. And I
I
think it's
mean,
another reason, it's another thing that why people miss a lot of what's happening, because there's just this expectation of what we see in the movies, what we see on Star Wars and all these you know, and it's so completely off base of what it really looks like that people just you
hmm
don't have the right idea of what this actually looks like until you actually.
right. All right. They have an idea in their head of what they think it should look like,
Yes.
and then then I show them and tell them, I'm like, this is what it looks like. This is what this planet looks like. This is it. This is what it looks like. It's not going to look like an idea in your head,
Hmm.
or a movie you watched, or it's not.
No, occasionally you'll get lucky enough to catch one that looks, kind of,
Well, like this
kind
here
of,
in my backdrop.
yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes. I
I
have
can
some that
see it.
like there's one picture in particular, one of my favorites that I've taken, that which has a stripes. I think we agreed it was the lead object because you could see there's a chunk missing in the back of that picture. But it's one
Yeah,
of those pictures that even now that I show it to people, people just refuse it. Just people tell me, "Oh, that's something that's man-made. That's something
right.
that's." Somebody told me it's a cloud. I'm like, well, a cloud with stripes and a perfect circle. Yeah, okay, all right. But
Oh,
again,
I know. All the stripes. I mean, um, really though, it's not just one planet that has stripes. They pretty much all have stripes at some point,
yeah,
and it changes all the time. It depends. Their appearance can change depending
yes,
on lighting, distance, and
yes,
angle.
yes,
Both,
and
yeah.
yes, absolutely,
That
and
you,
and
I
they
mean,
could look,
in that order.
and they
In that
could
order.
be, and you could see like they could be, because they're so close together that their colors could sometimes mix in. Like I've seen a Saturn look green. I've seen because, and then this is my theory.
Uh-huh.
So with Saturn is in front of Nibiru, right?
Right.
And then you have the yellow moon. So blue and yellow make green. So there's always a mixture of colors depending on what is nearby, what is passing, what is angled just right at the light. Because as Sam has said before, and this is very true. You could, if the light is not shining on them, it could literally pass in front of you. You will not see it. You will see the
Right.
clouds around it. You will see, but you
That's
will
the
not see
crazy
it.
part.
And
That's
it is
because
it is crazy.
they're dark sides. I mean, I'm just picturing this in my mind. Like, here's the sun, and then there's a planet between Earth and our sun. And so all we can see is their side that's totally dark,
Yeah.
which means they can slash are just right up on us. They can, like,
Yeah.
just sneak up on us.
And
It's hard to
also,
believe.
I use this analogy a lot. It's like get a really bright flashlight, right? Point it at you, and then get a little planet that's going by. It's going to be really difficult to see that. Like it's going to be challenging to see that. You have to learn
Right.
and it's the reason why a lot of our eyes miss it sometimes. That's why I
Yeah.
love cameras, because the sun is very, very bright. It's very, very bright. And we're seeing the dark side. And it's like seeing something small pass in front of a flashlight. something very bright behind it, it's going to be difficult to see.
Right.
Or I try to teach that. I try to tell people when they ask me about that, and I just sometimes I feel it comes across. Sometimes I feel like I kind of lose people when I try to explain that. But it's it takes time, I guess. But I came across.
I was going to ask you. I was like, how'd you find Sam?
Okay, so I would say around 2014. I've always been obsessed with looking at the sky, always. And right around 2014, is something was just bothering me. I noticed something was different. I
You just
could not
felt
put
it.
my yes. But unlike you, I didn't come across that for like 2 years. I was posting stuff on YouTube, and if you go on my YouTube account and go back to my first videos, it's just random sky stuff where I had no clue what I was taking pictures or video of, but I just knew something was different. I went down so many rabbit holes. I went down
Mm-hmm.
the Zachariah Stitchin one. Who's that other one? Chariots in the sky. What is it called?
That
Zachariah
sounds
Stitchin.
familiar.
Uh, Eric von Daniken. Von Daniken, I think is his name. I
Yeah.
went down, which we all know it's like 20% based on reality, and then like 80% crap. So I
Right.
went down all these rabbit holes, even for the sake of being thorough. I even went down the flat Earth theory, which
I did too.
it didn't last very long. It didn't
My
last
whole
very long. I
family
was like,
did.
okay, this is garbage. I'm done. But just for the sake of being thorough, I went down that rabbit hole too. And
Yeah.
nothing satisfied my questions. Nothing. In the one of the last theories I had was maybe the skies were different because of all the radiation going on in Fukushima. Because right around that time was kind of new.
Right.
There all that radiation stuff that was happening out there. So around 2016, I would say, is when I actually started making progress, and I came across not Sam. I came across one of his former partners. I don't want to mention names, but I'm sure you know
Okay. Yeah, I think I
who,
know who you're talking
who he
about.
was. He wasn't a very nice guy. He got on. He was kind of
Yeah,
mean. He
I
was an
know.
acquired taste, but I will say that I did learn some from him. We kind of struck up an odd relationship, and I learned a lot from him.
Right. He
But
knows. He
but
had.
he was really mean about it. He was such a rude guy. I don't know why he was such a rude guy, but
Yeah.
anyways, I came across him first, and then there's the series that Sam and him did. Did you get to see that one? An understanding of the skies.
Right. Right. I
That
mean, there's only
was
a few left, a handful of them left. Even though
it
there
was
was
a whole
over.
series of like 14 videos, I think. And that's where anytime that you would join Montana Sky Watches, that's the first thing
Yeah.
that they would have you go watch, right? So I went through that whole series and I was immediately hooked, and I was like, okay, this makes sense. And hearing Sam, I had the same reaction to Sam as you did. I know I just the honesty in his voice
Hmm.
was just to me was just undeniable. Like this guy is talking the truth. Like I could hear it in his voice that he
Yeah.
wasn't lying, that he believed
Right.
exactly what he was talking about. And I was just hooked. After that I was just completely hooked. But I can't say I saw it right away. I was
No.
taking pictures. It made sense to me. And the last thing I would have, good thing I came across Sam, because I would have never, ever imagined it was planets. It would have never crossed my mind. And, this isn't
No.
supposed to happen. Where they taught us from early on that something like this is impossible and couldn't happen, right? Or else, if they were this close, how many times do we hear this? If they were that close, Earth would disintegrate, and gravity and all this. And this one of the reasons why it's difficult to come to this conclusion, because it's not, we've been taught that this is impossible. So the last thing on my mind would have been that it was planets. And had I not came across Sam, I would have never imagined it was
Right.
planets. But when I did, I was like, this makes a lot of sense. And then it just kind of went on from there. I would like to say I didn't start seeing them clearly as I do now. Probably the last 2 years, 3 years, maybe. I think those first 3 years was just learning, you know. And there was times where I did see it, where I would get lucky and I would catch something that was pretty clear. But see them as clearly as I do now, that took some time. I would have to say maybe after I left New Mexico, I think that's when it really set in for me.
Yeah, I can
I
totally
think I,
relate to all that.
I think the elevation here in Salt Lake really, New Mexico skies were amazing. I will say that they are like no other. But the elevation here makes them so much clearer. The asteroids, the
Hmm.
videos that I've been able to take from these asteroids is just so undeniable here because of
Yeah,
that extra elevation. I'm here about 5,000 feet, and then if I drive east 20 minutes, I'm up to about 6,500, 7,000 feet. So it is crazy, crazy elevation. And if you're way down at sea level, as we Sam says, it's a little more difficult for those people down at sea level to see. New Mexico is around 4,000 feet, so it's still, the elevation's still kind of up there. But coming up here, it really made up for a little bit more detail kind of view because of the
yeah,
elevation. So it really helped. I think we're on this journey where we're supposed to be. Some reason I ended up in Utah. I was in New Mexico my whole life. I ended up in Utah, and I don't feel that was a coincidence. I feel like I'm here because I don't know, part of my evolution in this whole learning process. But yeah, it was an interesting
right. So
it
when
was a,
did
it
you
was an
start to
interesting journey
see
coming
them?
across coming
Like,
across Sam. It really sucks. I mean, you have done a really good job at recreating a lot of those videos, that a lot of that stuff that was lost after Sam and said and his old partner kind of had that falling out.
right?
Because there was so much information that was lost in those
I
videos.
know.
But I think you've done a great job at recreating a lot of that was lost there. So that's
Thank
a
you.
great work.
Really, yeah, I appreciate that. It's just, I don't know. I mean, I just had this. I remember the early video because for years I just, you know, took video of sky and sun and whatever and posted it. I didn't, and then later I started adding music and words and trying video apps out. It just such a natural progression. But
Yeah,
when I look back at everything, it's like, man, this is just conveniently, perfectly fit together. I find Sam and I make a group and I, make videos only to eventually get to this point to where I can learn it and then relay it to other people.
yeah,
It just
yeah,
worked out so perfectly.
yeah, yeah.
So, and then I meet,
Yeah, it's
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 like
been
you're,
exciting. It's really been exciting.
it really
Seeing
is.
seeing the evolution of all this. Just looking back on when you started, when I started, and how we evolved. It's been great, and it's something that I hope others have the opportunity to experience because it's life changing.
It is.
I don't really talk about this, but I feel we're live, but and I wanna share exactly what my experience was. But I was going through a really dark time in my life when I came across Sam. I was drinking a lot. I was
Hmm.
I was doing things. I was on drugs. I was lost when I came across Sam, and it gave me something to believe in. Something that
Yeah.
I found something that I truly, truly feel was real. I don't feel it's real. I know it's real. Um, and it got me out of a really dark hole. It helped me a lot. Getting out of that. I am 4 years sober now.
Awesome.
I don't drink.
Really.
Well, I know. I
I
I still
mean,
I still partake in the cannabis. But
Right. I do too.
I don't drink. I was a pack a day smoker. I was a drinker. I was on heavy drugs, and
Yeah.
I didn't. And eventually, as I evolved in that, I didn't feel the need to, because I kind of found something that I can be a part of. Found something that I know was real, and I don't know if Sam knows this, but I'm really thankful for him for that, because I
Yeah.
feel it was a big part of my sobriety, getting sober, because it really did impact my life that much. It just
That's
it gave me direction.
right. Right. No, I mean, I can understand because for some reason, I mean, you and I, we've never spoken to each other. All we've ever done since 2017 is communicate on Facebook and Messenger writing. We've never
Yeah.
talked on the phone. We've never done this, gone on video.
Yeah, for
So we
everybody
don't
out
really
there,
know each other.
this is the first time me and Rebecca
Right. But
have done this
I
face
mean, I'm
to
just
face.
sitting here kind of, it's
Known each
really,
other 6 years, but this is the first time we do this
right,
one
right,
on
right.
one.
But here's what I'm going to say is my situation was very similar, Jesus. I mean,
Really?
right when yeah, I have a long addiction life story, 30 years of multiple addictions, just a very addictive personality.
Yeah.
And so it was it was terrible for many, many years. And
Yeah.
so it makes me more grateful that I've reached that point to where that's
Wow,
in my
I
past.
had no idea, Rebecca. I had no
I
idea.
know. Yeah, long,
So
just
sometimes I think
terrible.
we're reluctant to talk about it because you feel like you're the only one going through this, and not everybody would relate to it. But
Yeah.
it's good to know, because
But
I have that same
but what I
experience.
was going to say is I I feel Sam played a role in that also because of the time. I mean, it's just funny how you and I have that same experience around the same time frames. Really, very,
Yes,
very similar.
yes. And nobody gets out of addiction without putting in the work. But I do feel that
Oh, it's
Sam
hard.
played. I think the big part of it is because you're just so lost that you don't. Religion didn't work for me. I went down that road. Religion didn't work for me.
Same
There was
here.
something that just didn't satisfy myself, right? And when I came across Sam, it all just fit together, and I found, I don't know, my reason to my that one thing that we all need. It can't be all
Yeah.
just work, and you have to have something. And I feel Sam was the one that really, I think, had it not been for Sam, I'm gonna give myself credit, because it does takes a lot of personal work, and you have to really undo a lot of your childhood
It's like
trauma, and all that,
you have to retrain your brain.
but I do feel that Sam was like the beginning of my undoing of
Yeah.
my of all that life that I experienced before that. And I am really grateful to him. And if he's hearing this now, I want to say thank you, Sam. It is something that you really did help me with, and here we are. I just want to
I
say,
know.
I don't know if
That's
I'm
so
going to thank him
ironic.
for that, but
Yeah, because
I do want him to know that I am grateful for that. And I know some of the negative people are going to be like, "Oh, you're just he's a co-leader." We hear that a lot, but I think we here in the group know no different. He's a he's a human being. He's a loving, respecting person, and if you would just get to know him, maybe you'd have a different opinion about him, because there was times, and I'm not gonna lie, that I took offense to some of the things that Sam would do. There was a time where he got on me for making a comment, a little. It was my fault. I shouldn't have made that comment. All right.
okay.
I get that now. I get that, but there was a time where I took it a little
Oh
personal.
man.
Yeah, and then I realized at one point, I've never mentioned this, but I actually left Montana Skyward just for about maybe 6 months. And then I told myself, what am I doing? This is much bigger and more significant than your petty feelings, which weren't even. merited. He just has a way of doing things that sometimes you rub people the wrong way. But if you stick around, you'll realize why he does things the way he does. And
I know. No, it's true. It really is. I mean, especially now that I've gotten to where him and I visit, because for so long I just heard him on his recordings, like most people, but I never imagined him and I'd be visiting one day, just pick up the phone and call Sam. And that's how it is now. If I need to ask him something real quick, I just call him. And that right there is like hard to believe. I remember the first time I called him, how nervous I was. I mean,
I have yet to speak to him personally like that. We messaged.
He's kind of intimidating at first.
I talked to him on Messenger. Yeah, it could be, absolutely. But he's always made himself available to anybody. When I came across him, he literally gave people his number out there in the public where anybody could just call him. And I'm like,
right.
Okay, like, who is this guy? I was just thought to myself, who is that comfortable with just handing out their personal number to complete strangers?
It's like he'll just tell anybody that's willing to listen. I mean,
and that's another thing that I think plays to his personality, that he's an open book. He's transparent. He's and for a lot of people who say that he's a liar, I'll say this: his story has not changed. If you go back, his story has been consistent, and like anybody, he's human. I was having a discussion with somebody recently who was telling me that well, he called this planet a Pasadena, and this other picture he called it out there. I was like, look, he's a human, and this topic is very loaded. It's not that difficult to make that mistake, to make a call. But if you look back, his story is consistent throughout the entire time. It's consistent. And if you're taking pictures, if you're taking video, you will see it eventually. You will see it. If you actually take the time to learn this, I dare anybody out there who's new, if there's anybody new to this, seeing this for the first time, I dare you to actually put the time to study this, to actually put the time that it merits. I dare you to do that, and I dare you. I want you to do it because I know that you will see it eventually. Anybody can see this. Anybody can see it. So just take a little bit of time. It takes a little bit of learning. There's a learning curve.
Right. And, I mean, I think the comparisons that I make, I mean, once you see where I draw the lines, on where things are, it starts to click right then and there for most people once they just start to see those, and then like everybody says, we all say it, once you see them, you'll never unsee them. You just can't. At that point, they're there.
You see it, it hits you like a ton of bricks, and you're like, oh. Like,
yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
It's true.
And I do feel that's another reason why, and I don't want to use that term anymore, but let's just say why there's not as many airplanes as there used to be. They're so big now. I feel there was a time where they was really heavy. I think that was because they were more distant and more easier to see. Kind of like what's behind you, But now that they're closer, you don't see that much anymore. You'll see maybe one, and you'll see it in a lot of my videos, a lot of my pictures. You'll see how they'll make a line right across it, but it doesn't go past that. But there was a time where it was a lot heavier. I think now, because they're so close, they blend in with their sky. I think they know that, and I think that's why they don't. You don't see that as much as you used to.
Yeah, I mean, we are at the tail end of the most recent 180-day cycle, which means, for 180 days from March, usually till September. But Sam said this year we could go into December, but it just means that the planets are passing closer than they were 6 months ago. I mean, they go through cycles where they're close for 6 months, and then followed by 6 months where they're further away, easier to see. You can get them.
And there's times too where you could literally see them in the distance if you know what to look for. And this is my favorite thing to do. I live for days like this. I go outside and I'll see something in the distance. I'm like, okay, this looks promising. This looks like something may. And sure enough,
Oh yeah,
an
you can.
hour, 2 hours later, you can literally document it from the moment it's way out there and the moment it comes in closer. You could literally see that. Again,
Yeah,
for any new members, I really I challenge you to actually put in the time to learn this, because I assure you, it's worth the time. It's worth putting in the time.
right. And you like we've both been doing it. Let's see, 6 years, both of us. We both have been at. But you're right. I mean, once it starts to click and sink in, it really, to me, it just brings kind of a peace of mind, really, to know the truth. Not to be
Well,
lost
that
in
that I
conspiracy
that
land.
it was it not driving you crazy when before you knew understood what you were looking at? It was driving me crazy not to know what it was. Like it was driving me insane. And then when I came across Sam, it's like I got it. I understood him. It just gave me this sense of peace to really understand what I was looking at. Because for years, for me, it was years before I came across Sam. It was about 2 years of just taking random pictures of things that I just really was not understanding.
You didn't know. Right. I
Like I
mean,
said, if you go back to I don't really post on YouTube that much anymore, but I used to a lot more. But if you go back to my videos, you'll see that I had no clue what I was recording in those beginning videos. I was just
of course.
confused. And then you come across them, and you're like, okay, this fits, and then it just gives you this, I don't know, the sense of peace, to at least understand what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm just like going down memory lane as you're talking, because for those first few years, I couldn't see them at all either. But, and I'd hear him and see him say, there's a whole solar system, but you're looking for a small planet. You're thinking
Yeah,
you need a telescope or something, when
yeah.
it's a flip opposite. You don't need a telescope to see these things. They're so massive, but that's the last thing you expect. Yeah. But I was looking for I had some questions for you, and I think my paper fell back behind the porch. I was going to check though. Let me take a minute and check out the YouTube comments real quick and see. Looks like we have 24 listeners right now. So thank you all for listening. If you don't know who I am, I'm Rebecca Benningfield, and this is Jesus Marquez, and this is our first podcast. So we have just decided in my mind, I thought we were going to record this evening, and Jesus thought we were going to go live all along. And it took us a few tries, to get everything set up, because I wasn't even set up for this. But I'm having a good time, so I'm glad we jumped in and just decided to start. On a random Monday night of all things, But for sure, the next show I'll be prepared with more visual, ideas of
A
things.
learning curve.
I've had many of them, but each time that something like that happens, then you're like, I should have thought of it this way, but it's okay. It's all right.
Yeah,
Because I know now what I want to do next time. And
yeah.
also I'll mention, I haven't really mentioned this to anybody except Sam and Leandra maybe, but I got invited to be on a podcast, and I wish I could tell you the name of I probably can if I can find their message. It was a person on TikTok who does podcasts. Give me a minute and I'll find it.
Well, I remember you had mentioned something like that a while back, but I never
Yeah.
find anything come
Now,
of it.
I did do a podcast, I don't know, like a year ago or so. It's been a while. and it went okay. I didn't find out till after we had recorded it that I wouldn't have access to it. You had to. It only aired on a certain website where you had to be a member to see it. It's like a
Okay, all right. So
conspiracy
that's
website, and you had to pay so much a month to get access to their videos. So I don't know. I felt like it was a good beginning point, but now I look back on it and I was a little lost still at that time. I feeling and not that I want to sweep it under the rug entirely. It's still out
yeah,
there, I'm
no,
sure.
no, it's
But yeah, I mean, I've learned a lot from that point, so I'm at that point now where I'm ready and I'm, getting a good slideshow prepared for this person. Let me see if I can find, just see if anybody's in or familiar with this channel. But anyway, I'm scheduled to record on Thursday morning. We're supposed to connect, and I'm going to tell this person. He's actually told me he was inviting like all of these Planet X bigwigs, these big names and I don't know who they are, but he somehow saw me on TikTok and wanted to. I mean, that was a compliment. So
that should be interesting.
it is. I know. I told him. I told him. I said I'm a little bit um, on the opposite end of Planet X. I'm not considered Planet X. And I gave him a quick rundown about Planet X and how it's, the misinformation.
I think he just might clash with the other group, with the other people.
Oh well, yeah. I know.
Because it's so. I think Sam's information compared to what's out there is just so. It's just so different.
Onto itself. It's its own thing.
Yeah.
It really is, because there's no other person that has anything like this information.
Yeah.
There's nothing else like it. No one else like it. Nobody else can do the drawings like he does. I mean, that right there, I constantly go back to how accurate they are.
Well, everybody's still waiting on it to come. Like it's incoming, but it's here. It's been here.
Right. They're already here. We've been watching them for years. It's like, where you been,
Mm-hmm.
But everybody's at their own level on understanding that. I'm sure, when you and me started Sam's group, we were still looking for them while people were seeing them, it's like that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I was going to see if I could find his message real quick. Let's see. I need to just confirm we're still on even, but as far as I know, we are. So that's nice. I'm just going to talk about whoever wants to hear it. Hopefully they'll be interested. I know they will be, though, because here lately on TikTok, things have really been picking up. I mean, really, really. I had a video I shared recently where it's gotten over, like 40,000 views in a day, which is a lot for me.
That's pretty good.
I mean, anything over 5,000 is pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm getting to that level, and I think around 30. Let's see, I can tell you. Yeah, 36,000 followers right now on TikTok. So
nice. I'm lucky to get 1,000 videos on mine. Occasionally,
yeah,
I think my reel with the most, maybe 6,500 views. I think.
Right.
No.
Right. Let's see. Well, I'm gonna quit looking for that. I don't know. It's here somewhere. So yes, I'm doing a podcast, and I wasn't going to say anything just in case I didn't want anybody to know about it, but I'm going to tell everybody. So now everybody knows.
Well, hopefully we'll get to see that one.
It will, yeah, for sure. Yeah, now that it's out of the can. All right, I'm going to check back with the YouTube crowd and see how things are looking there. Let's see. Okay. I'm impressed, Jesus. I mean, let's see if you can see it. There we are. Uh-oh, it keeps going into the
Yeah,
green screen.
it's blending into your
Yeah, the t-shirt or something. But that's official looking, I mean, it is.
yeah, that's nice. That's cool.
It is.
Yeah.
There's a slight delay. I can see myself holding the camera up.
Yeah. I was noticing there is a slight delay.
I think what I might do is I'll download this, us, our live, and then piece it out into small videos and add some pictures. And, I will use this audio for future videos,
Yeah.
so I can work with that too.
Yeah.
So, and then, I mean, you and I were talking, like, let's talk about what we foresee, like how we want this to be, because maybe do it weekly, like we were talking about, do a weekly show. And I can have up to 10 people, so we need to plan out who wants to be on the show, and we'll have some pictures and
Yeah, I'm all for it. I'm all for
mm-hmm.
it. I'm just as I told you my schedule, I work nights, so
Right.
afternoons would work for me.
We'll
So.
just work on, like,
Plus, I think in the afternoons people are off work, and it get a
yeah,
little bit more people watching than
right.
it would in the daytime anyway. So
I totally agree. I mean, middle of the afternoon is usually some of the worst,
yeah.
numbers I get, even though I
Hmm.
do go live sometimes in the afternoons. But I try to aim for weekends for that reason. I try to, release certain things on weekends and whatnot, because it seems to get a better,
Get more
number
traction.
of views.
Yeah.
More people see it that way. But checking on our listeners just to see if anybody has any questions or comments I might want to throw in. I see Lana Davis. Hi, Lana. Let's see. Okay, she says, as the off-worlders told Sam, they said that Sam, is the only one that could relay this information. He's the only person on Earth that can relay the information about how we have this other solar system. And I don't doubt that one bit. I don't know of anybody else that's doing what he's doing.
Well, I don't completely disagree with that at all. I think he's.
Right.
I have looked. I I'm a member of, like, gosh, 25, 30 different groups. I post I post on all these groups because I want this information out there. But honestly, I don't really. I'm a member of most of these groups, but most of them are a bit lost. You know, are still looking for Nibiru out. We're looking for a red planet Nibiru out by the sun somewhere. We're waiting.
And they'll think that, like, what is actually an asteroid is, they'll think, because we have lots of pictures where it's just a dark orb in the sky, which is actually an asteroid, or probably is. A lot of people think those are planets. They're thinking the planets are just like this size, which, that's the size of an asteroid.
Mm-hmm.
What's behind me here, like we just talked about that. But still, you're right. I mean,
he's the only one with this information.
He's the only one.
Is so completely lost. So
and
yes, that's definitely a true statement.
For people, right. For those that don't know, I mean, like Alana was saying, it's off-world is because Sam has met 3 different alien races. There's been a Pleiadian. We know about that. He was abducted by a Pleiadian in the mid to late 80s. Him and 2 other people, and it was at that time that the Pleiadian told Sam, he gave him the names of these planets. First he confirmed that Sam was right, that yes, these planets really do exist. You are right when you made this discovery. And they gave him the names of the planets. And let's see. Oh, and then they told Sam of all. This is the cool part, that Sam is in their history books. The Pleiadians are from the future. They travel through time, and um, Sam is somebody notable in their history books for being somebody that ultimately changed the way people think, how they think the world operates. It's big, and I mean, he's not just come out and said it, but to me, I think it's because if people learn, that we've been lied to so heavily, for instance, about gravity when actually it's an electrical universe. I mean, he has the potential of
To change the world as we know it.
changing everything, right? Because one lie uncovers another one, and it just tumbles, and after that, it all
It,
opens up,
it, it's the hardest part of all this is
right? Because
is accepting all that. Like it's difficult. It's something that I struggled with a lot. Accepting a lot of that, because once you understand how accurate Sam is, it scares you. It could scare you. Like all this Pleiadian, him making a Pleiadian and all that. I gotta say, at first I didn't give him much of a thought. I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe. As I've known how accurate he is,
yeah,
it's a part of me that still struggles with that. Knowing that if he's that accurate,
yeah.
it's real.
And
All
then
this, all
sometimes
of it.
it's like, how did I get involved in all of this? Even it wasn't like I'd always been into planets, and it's really not like when did you start? I know you said 2014. Is that like like for me 2014? And I
It
was
was my awakening to something that was happening. I don't think I didn't understand it, but it was my awakening. It was when
yeah,
when I knew something was happening that I didn't understand. But
right.
again, it took years to kind of really set in it, and still, we've been ingrained, and we've taught so many lies that to undo all that psychologically, it takes a toll on somebody. It really
Well,
does. And
even after,
it takes time, and sometimes even for older members like us, we still struggle with the reality of all this because it's huge. It's some of the things I've seen. I can't even begin to explain to somebody because they'll just look at me like, "Are you nuts?" I have literally seen Atu's moon close enough where I could see craters in it
yeah,
with the naked eye.
yeah,
Where it came in, it was so frigid cold. It was one particular passing in New Mexico that was just so close that my hands were freezing. Like I had to go back inside because it was so cold. It dropped the temperatures like 35 degrees. It was so close, Rebecca, and I could literally look up and see the freaking craters. It was still dark, so my camera wasn't picking it up, but I could
man,
literally see the craters above me. I've seen
yeah.
planets close enough where I could see land masses. I've seen that, and I've seen asteroids darting through the sky that are the size of a city. And how do you
Me too.
explain that? How do you explain that to somebody? How do you come to terms with something like that? It's difficult. It's psychologically, it's a total mind screw. It just
No, I know.
and I think that's the reason why they hide it, because not I don't think I think there's a lot of people out there that wouldn't respond to this the way we have, because I think a lot of people would freak out seeing half the things we've seen. You know, I've seen a fleet of UFOs. I've seen them literally staring at me. It scared me at first, and then it scared me at first, and then I don't know if I'm a firm believer that they kind of instilled a sense of calm in me, kind of letting me know that they're not I don't need to fear them, because it was like at first I was just scared, and then I got this overwhelming sense of calm, and then it just kind of stayed that way. But I have seen some crazy, crazy, crazy shit.
I know you have. I
And
know.
to explain that, like, there's a lot of things, Rebecca, that I don't even mention sometimes, because first of all, I don't understand it. And some things that are just so far out there that, if that, I'm scared to post about it, because of people knocking on my door with straitjackets to take me away. It is so out there. It is a lot. It is a big topic. It is a lot happening,
Hmm.
and I just want to say to any new members, like, I'm not a doom and gloom guy. We have seen that this is rather stable from what we've seen. It's been rather stable. I do think there's
Right.
always that uncertainty that where you don't know what's going to happen, but it seems to be rather stable. At least this cycle has been rather stable. But be prepared for a wild ride. Because once you see this, it's a lot. It's a lot to take in.
Right.
It's fascinating. It's addictive. I'm completely overwhelmed by how fascinated I am by it. I'm addicted. Completely addicted by it. It's the one addiction that I enjoy having.
It
But
could be worse,
but it's a lot. It's a
Yeah.
lot to take in. It's a
Right.
huge, huge pill to swallow. It really is.
That's how I feel. I mean, I I wake up and I check my messages, when I first wake up. And then I'm off and on it throughout the day. If I'm not taking care of my family, I'm doing something with this. And then I'm up till like 2 and 3 in the morning working on it, and sleep about 5 hours and it starts all over again. So, I mean, when you say addicted, I feel the same way. I mean, if I'm not doing something else I have to do, I'm doing something with this. I'm looking at a sky picture or a video, something.
I'm actually kind of scared of those 15 years coming up, and then the sky is going back to normal, because
Can you imagine? I don't want to.
I'm gonna be so bored. I might just fall back into my old habits.
I
Not
know,
really,
no, no.
but every time I think about it, okay, man, I got 15 more years. I got 15 more cycles of this. Hey, there's a part of me that's like, no, I don't want it to end.
I know. Let's see.
Change it, but
Because I'll be like
not.
close to 70 by then, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I don't know
yeah,
if I'll still be out chasing pictures or not, but
yeah.
if I can, I will. But yeah, I've thought about that too. I can't imagine there being a time when they're not here, like they are now. I will miss it. I
I
will.
will say one thing though. Things do happen the way they're supposed to.
Right.
Growing up, kids of my age growing up had posters of football players and baseball players, and that I had posters of planets. I loved I and this is real. This is a true story.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
had this. I was really bummed out when I was a kid that I was like, I'm never gonna get to see something like this. Okay, because that's what they teach us, right? When I was a kid, I was literally disappointed because I would tell myself, I'm never gonna get to see a planet, up close.
Yeah.
Fast forward 20 years, and here we are. And I think about that all the time.
Really.
Like,
That's
like,
interesting.
like it's fascinating that things really happen, the way they're supposed to. Because as a kid, I was disappointed that I would never get to see a planet, you know.
Yeah. And you're
And
more involved with it
fast,
than you thought.
fast forward 20 years, and here we are, and it's the craziest thing. Like, it's the craziest thing. I think about that all the time. It's
I think
just
it's interesting. I'm sure Sam has told you about how he has dreamt of asteroids since he was a child. I mean, since he's, a small child, he has had dreams where he is in the middle of a cluster of asteroids, basically, just surrounded by them. you
I've
know,
heard of
and,
that.
and he didn't know, of course, at that time, and things were going to play out like they did. He was just a child. So he's always been highly connected to all of this,
Yeah,
always.
yeah.
So like
Right.
Lana says, he's the only one that can do this. It's like he's been destined to do this from the very beginning. You can just see it, you know.
I
Uh,
often wonder if we have all these other scientists and astrophysicists. Do they really not know, or they like Neil deGrasse Tyson? I hate that guy. I can't stand every
yeah,
time I listen
he
to
has
him.
to know.
Every
He
time I
has
listen
to.
to him, I'm like, this guy's so full of shit. Like I just don't.
Yeah.
There was a time where I tried, where I kind of liked him, and then as I learned and evolved in all this topic, I realized that man is just, you could just sense he's not truthful. I don't think he's
No,
I don't think he's truthful.
it's just all show and
I
redo.
sense deceit. I sense deceit in him. But I do
Yeah.
wonder how many scientists really do know, and how many are really ignorant to this, because um, sometimes it's, the more you start watching media and TV, it kind of makes you question all this. Like I don't dwell on much TV. I'm very selective about what I watch and what I let inside.
Yeah.
But if I do watch cable TV, and the news, especially the news, you start to question all this, and then you go outside and you see something crazy, and then you're like, okay, they're lying, and it's a struggle. It's a daily struggle sometimes to,
Right.
I mean, I don't question it anymore. I know it's real, but I do feel that the media does a good job at keeping people ignorant to all this. And that's going to be a really uphill battle. Getting people on board with this, because the media, I mean, you have NASA, you have all these
Yeah.
stories about, now we have the Indian moon landing, and whether it's real or not, I feel that it's still tailored for people to think, well, we they would tell us, or we would see it, or it just all seems like it's all just to make people to just continue moving, pushing pushing their lives, forward, and having people completely ignorant to this. And I really hope that we can open some eyes, because it's been so long watching this and just sitting in the background, and just I really hope that there's something comes of this, because people deserve to know. People need to know this, and
Right.
it drives me crazy every day where I'm driving and I see it, and everybody's just down here on their phones, and not a single person looks
Yeah. Do
up.
you ever see anybody else out taking pictures?
No, no,
Never.
no,
Never. I
no.
mean, I'm the only person
I
in
always
the
feel like
parking
the
lot.
odd fall out. I
Yeah,
always
I'll
feel
be at
like the
the
odd fall
grocery
out.
store parking lot, and I'm out in the middle of the parking lot doing a 360, and
And
I'm like, I don't really
and
care what anybody thinks. I really, really
well,
don't.
I don't anymore. But when I was in New Mexico, so I lived in a really small town in New Mexico. Uh, we had two traffic lights. It was a town of like 1,200 people, so it was really tiny community.
Right, little.
And I had a few people call the cops on me a couple of times. One of them was because somebody thought I was taking pictures of them. And then another one was because I had a silver camera at that time. Somebody thought I had a gun. So I had a few times where the cops actually came to question me on what I was
Are you
doing.
serious?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow,
And
my
so
goodness.
so it kind of made me a little squeamish about being out in public. But now, every time I'm taking pictures, people think I'm taking a selfie, or people think I'm recording myself. The last thing on their mind is that I'm recording the sky. You
Yeah,
know,
right. Oh my
because
gosh.
it seems to be the last thing on people's mind to even look at the sky. I mean, look how many people are considered crazy who look up at the sky. I think that's another thing that was ingrained into our psyche on purposely, to associate with sky watchers
With crazy.
with crazy, and it's not.
That's convenient, but yeah, you can see
It is.
because of all the conspiracy theories, and they've connected that with the tinfoil hat wearers, and I
Yeah.
mean, they've made them look kind of, which is all psychological programming. When you look at it, all of that way of thinking is done on purpose,
Yeah.
to discredit people like me, you, Sam, anybody talking about this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I have every so often I'll have people trolling my videos, and they never once I respond to them, they never answer back. They just go in, plant their little
yeah,
seed of doubt in people, and I think that's the whole purpose of it. And then they kind of just move along, But yeah, I think as I've said before, I think those who uh, those who are willing to kind of think outside of the box can absolutely see this. But if you're really part of, as they say, part of the society and what they present life to be, you're really going to struggle with this because it's a lot to take
well,
in.
one thing that's happened to me was I go up to the field to take pictures about 2 blocks away because I have so many trees where I am. But I've noticed one thing. I've had multiple people stop. Like, people will drive by, they'll slowly look out at the field, and then they will sometimes turn around and come back, But I've had multiple people pull over, and they think I'm out talking about geoengineering. They
Yeah.
really do. They want it because they're into it themselves, and they want to know what, because they, I think, are excited to see some other sky watcher, because like you just said, nobody does this. But
But I think that the geoengineering is like, I think we all kind of went down that rabbit hole, but that's
we
just
did.
I think a lot of people don't get past that stage and kind
Yeah.
of stuck on that one.
Well, let
And
me tell you.
I see a lot of potential there.
No, I
People
know. And
actually
if
paying
anybody
attention.
can, anybody can distance themselves and let go of the geoengineering, climate change, or in chemtrails, all of that. If anybody can let go, I did, and if I can, anybody can. So I'm saying, because I was in it deep, deep, deep. I mean, I was in all the. I'm not even gonna say that word, but sea trails, because of how it gets attention, But my goodness, I-
There
it's
was some pretty crazy things with the trails I did see at one point. I think one of and I don't know if I've spoken about this one, but since we're here, this is another one that really opened my eyes because
what's that?
I do feel the trails are a step, as I said, to your awakening. But a lot of people get kind of stuck there. But I did see the craziest thing, broad daylight. I don't understand how people have missed it, but I saw it looked like how can I say, it looked like a little cylinder UFO, right? Small,
Okay.
really
Hmm.
small.
Is it like a little tic tac?
Kind of like a tic tac, yes.
Uh-huh.
But it was a little more. How can I explain it? It was a little more kind of like, how can I explain it? It was wide on one side and then thinner on the other side, kind of. And the nose was blinking. It was lighting on and
Yeah.
off. And as a plane came and dropped the trail, this other one came from the other side. So it was blinking, kind of like a tic tac, kind of.
Yeah.
But its nose was blinking, and then kind of like the spiral asteroid, it starts going around. It starts twirling around the trail, and it's one of those things that I saw, and I it took me months after that. I kept questioning. I was like, am I losing it? Because I saw this in broad daylight. And I kind of went down the trail thing after that, but it didn't satisfy my. I didn't feel like my questions were being answered. You know, I still felt like I still had an unanswered question. Thankfully, I didn't get stuck on that, but some people do. A lot
No,
of
I
people.
know. I've seen there. Okay, I've seen two things that I would consider UFOs. One daytime, one nighttime. You know, and one was kind of like a tic tac. It was just really going fast. I've seen other people capture the same thing, same looking thing. You know,
Yeah,
that
William Laffey. I'm pretty sure you've seen him in the groups, but he posted the exact same thing one day. The
really.
exact same thing that I saw. So it's not so when he posted it was maybe a few years after, and I was like, okay, that's exactly what I saw. So and it had the light lit, the nose I lit up everything. So it was exactly to the same thing. So
Wow.
it brought me some kind of peace that I wasn't crazy, you know, and I wasn't
No,
just
I know. No, I mean, I saw it and it was like, I don't know, 2021 maybe ish. You know, it's been a couple of years, but um, right away, I mean, I posted it. I don't remember where I shared it. It was another group, not my group,
Mhm.
but people were trying to tell me it was the ISS, and I don't. It was like zipping by. I mean, I don't think it was the ISS, you know. But
No, I don't even think you could see the ISS with the naked eye.
right, I
I don't
was
even
what I
think.
was thinking.
No, I think you need a telescope to see that. I've seen people
Right.
take video of it on a telescope, and it's tiny, like
Yeah,
it's
this
really
was
small.
something I could see. I could see it, but it was what caught my eye was how far away it was. It was far away, but I could still see it pretty decently. And if I can find that video, I will. It's in my Google Photos somewhere.
Mm.
It's pretty
Yeah,
cool. Yeah,
yeah,
now I gotta go find it, but dig through thousands of videos, and
yeah.
yeah,
I The cube is one that I don't see as often, but the times that I've seen it has been so clear that it's just undeniable. The long
yeah,
box cube,
like
right at the beginning of this 180-day cycle, it
yeah,
was so obvious, but it was so much glare from the sun that it was just impossible to take to take a good picture or a good video. But I saw that thing clearly, clearly.
yeah,
Um, I had one video that shows the cube and the side orb, so obvious, and it's the only time I've seen it that clear. But it's out there. It's just it's in my experience, it's been a little less prevalent than most of the other things that we see. I think asteroids and planets are really, to me, have been more obvious.
yeah. No, I know. I mean, um, I don't know. It seems like the cubes. Anytime I see a cube, I know Atu and Atu's moon are right there with it. I mean,
Yeah.
you just know that if you see a cube, a square cloud, you know, just know Atu and Atu's moon are, highly connected
Or
to
in tow. Yeah.
right. And then
Yeah.
the long box cubes is more of a Isatum, you know, situation. And then I usually mostly see the triangle crafts with Nepicity, along with the green asteroid. Yeah, so I kind of gotten to where you can kind of pair up, what goes with what, and just
Yeah. Yeah.
for those people out there trying to figure out the crafts, but you can't really deny it. I mean, when you see a square or a rectangle or a triangle, which, I got some great examples, that shows straight lines and sharp corners,
Yeah.
are
Na-
natural
na-
for clouds.
Nature does not work in straight lines and right angles. It doesn't. And anybody
Right.
who believes that really needs to go back and maybe learn a little more about, you know, what nature does and doesn't do. But straight lines, then just doesn't it just doesn't happen. If you see a straight line with the right angle, pay attention because it's something else that you're watching.
You're
It's
right.
not a cloud.
Yeah, I know a lot of people ask me what the cubes are, and Sam has told me that he believes that they are essentially parking garages, used to store and transport other types
Smaller
of
stuff.
alien crafts, that the
Mm.
crafts that they come down to Earth in. And
Yeah, I've heard him say that. I've heard him
he
say that.
says it's a whole lot like Star Wars in reality.
Well,
And
I
that,
mean, I think a lot of this, and with the whole alien, all these things that we've been seeing on TV recently.
yes,
I think a lot of it is getting people open and prepared because they know they're up there and they know that people are going to notice eventually. They have to stay. They have to, they have to stay phased somehow. So I do feel there is a very small amount of trickling information, without causing a panic. So I feel like I agree with what Sam says. I think there's a faction that wants us to stay ignorant, and then there's another side that wants us to evolve
yeah,
and learn. I think it's an endless battle between these two sides. One of them wanting us to learn and evolve, and the other one want us to keep us, as worker bees, as what really this planet is, which is another thing
a
that is
factory.
that's another thing that's difficult to grasp about all this, but it makes so much sense because I mean, let's face it, that's all we do. All we do is work. Where you go out into the world and all you see, we're like ants. After I
Yeah,
moved away from New Mexico into Salt Lake, has been it's been growing so much here that you see it. You see people just like robots every day, just commuting, going to work, and people have no time to
I
even look
know.
look up.
I know.
So I think a lot of it is done purposely. I think our the nature of our reality is to just serve one purpose and not really evolve. We look at what they teach us in school. They teach us nothing really of value. They only teach it just enough to get a job and just be more part of that same workforce. I hope that we come to a place where we could evolve out of that because we are there's good in humans. I know there's a lot of dark things in the world right now, but I do feel good prevails. I think there's a lot of good people out there. I think the majority of people are good people just trying to make a living and be with their families. And
Yeah,
I think we deserve this. I think we've earned it, and I think it's time to just let go of what we were put on here for. I think it's time to evolve out of that, and make our own way and just rise above what they created us to be. You know,
right. Which I think is because in order to do that, you have to, seriously let go of what we've been taught and told, and TV and media. I mean, you just have to like turn away from it, really, just because otherwise you can't take in that information and
I
really
I
see
I,
straight.
I stopped. The media is propaganda. It's programming, and you have to be really careful about what you let inside your mind.
Right. Because
You know,
it's always going in, whatever you just watching, you look at it and hear it, it's still coming in.
because
So
I've caught myself, as I said earlier, I've caught myself going down that same programming again, and I have to reel myself back in
yeah,
sometimes.
you climb back out the rabbit hole.
Yeah, yeah, and you're like, okay, you know better, stop. But it's a habit that's really hard to break because it's
See,
been
I
it's
get
been ingrained into our psyche for
right.
so
I
long.
mean, I have members in my group that, like we were talking earlier, I mean, they believe those conspiracies are true, because it's like hidden truth, and they've been drawn to it. But like I was saying earlier, you really can't tell anybody. I don't know how, it's difficult. They got to be open to the idea.
Yes, and you have to be very careful about how you approach people, because
Right.
you have to start small. Because if, and this is the reason why I like how Sam does things. I understand why he does things the way he does. You have to meet people where they're at, because if all of a sudden you come to somebody and you start telling them that, some of the things that we see, like you're gonna lose them. You're gonna lose them. You have to meet somebody where they're at. I'm very careful about how I speak to people sometimes, because I want to tell them everything that I've seen, everything that I've known, but I don't. At the same time, I don't want to push them away. You know,
Right. Right.
I do have to
Somebody,
give them. I over the time I've learned to be a little bit more careful about how I approach people with this topic, about how I respond to people's questions, because uh, sometimes less is more. You know.
no, I know. I mean, I usually in my responses, I keep it just super simple, like worded real simple, and I'm just like straight to the point. That's why. So I repeat myself often. I know, but you're right. I mean, but you know what? I know I was there too. I mean, I was
Yeah.
there. I put myself in their shoes. I was
Yes, that's
there.
exactly what I mean.
So,
Is that sometimes I think about it and I look back and I'm like, had somebody come up to me with half of what I know and just kind of drop it all on me one at
yeah, you'd be
once,
like, no,
I probably would have just walked away and be like, no, 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 this is not, no,
yeah,
thank you. And I would have probably just walked away. So yeah, I do feel like I do feel Sam's method has really worked, because for me, it worked perfectly. Like it was just the right amount at the right time, and I was able to grasp. Because again, it's a lot to take in. You have to give yourself the time, not just to see it, but also to for your
yeah,
mind to accept it. Because we're our minds are work on we're creatures of habit. Look at and I hate quoting this person because he was such a horrible person, but um Karen, what's his name? Not Nazi guy. I can't remember his name. Anyways, he said if you say the lie enough to people, they
okay,
eventually will believe it.
yeah, yeah, Hitler.
Hitler said
Uh-huh.
that. I hate
Yeah,
quoting Hitler because he's just
I
but
know.
that's very true what he said. If you repeat a lie over and over enough to people, they will believe it, and that is 100% true, because I've seen people believe some crazy shit, like crazy, crazy stuff. And I think it's because it's just being repeated and repeated and repeated over and over. We see this in
Right.
media all the time. There was that TikTok video I saw recently, not recently, but I saw a few. It was circulating a while back, where they're showing all the news outlets, and they're all repeating the same thing over
Yeah.
and over
Well,
about
it
this
says
information, and it's all different media outlets, local and national, but they're all repeating the same thing,
right.
and it's scary because
It
that's
is. Well, it's
how they
programming.
have everybody so ignorant to all of this.
You know how when you they break away from a show, and then they say now back to your regularly scheduled programming.
That's
I
right.
mean, they just tell you to your face,
Yes,
this is
yes,
your programming. Listen up. So,
yes, it is.
and but you don't know it. You don't even catch it then. Even they'll tell you straight to your face. You
Yes.
know.
But once you see it, like once you see all of this, you go back and you see all the lies, and it's scary. It's
It's
scary.
deep.
It's scary to see the world around you now. I think that's the biggest part of all this that I've struggled with is accepting that we're constantly lied to, and it's difficult. Like it's
And that
difficult
includes
once you see the truth, you start seeing all the lies around you, and that's difficult to see.
and even things that are disguised as true are
Yeah.
even lies.
Yes.
So
Yes.
there's lies that are lies, and then there's truth so-called truth that's
Yes.
really lies, and
It's like a tiny 1% of truth wrapped up in like 90%
yeah,
crap,
it's
you know.
nuts.
And I don't know. I think they're really good at manipulating. They've gotten really good at manipulating people. But I do feel that we're at a time right now where people are waking up. People are waking up to all the bull crap. I can't tell
They
you how
are.
many times I run into videos on TikTok of people seeing it, but they don't understand it. So there's a lot of people questioning things. People, I think, I genuinely think the vast majority of the world senses what's happening, but just
They
doesn't
have to feel
understand it.
it.
A lot of people are sensing it, but just don't know.
They
There's
don't
no
know.
information to really go on when it comes to this information, but disinformation out there. So I think these podcasts would be a great place because to start getting this information out, because like we were saying recently, there's only so much that our videos can do, you know.
Yeah,
Especially like you have to keep I podcasts, you could get away with making them an hour 2 hours long and people will listen to that, right? But I think when it comes to videos, you're posting like say on TikTok, posting videos on like reels, you have to keep it short, because if you make a 10-minute video, like say people people will disengage, and I see it now. Facebook recently offered me to monetize my content, and I accepted. Okay, just for I didn't. Okay, and I want to make this clear to everybody.
yeah,
This is free information. I would never ever profit out of this. But I will say one thing: I opted in because they would push my videos to a bigger audience, right? So what they do is they do the star thing where you could give stars to somebody, but it's like donation. So I never filled out any documents to get paid, right? So I just opted in, but
yeah.
I never filled out the my
Tax
bank
words.
information or any of that, because I feel this
Right.
information is free for everybody. But I did say yes, so they push this information because unfortunately we live in a world that is ran by money, and if you they have the incentive of getting paid or making money off of it, they will push it to more people. So I did opt in for that, but they also give you tools that tell you who's engaging into your videos, and at what how long they're watching them, and at what time they stop watching the video. And I'll tell you something, you have to keep it short in these videos because people lose interest right away. We live in a time where people's attention span is very short because there's so much information out there that you have to keep it short and to the point. But there's only so much you can do on a video like that. And I think a podcast is something I can get into my car, and I do this all the time. I will get into my car because I drive for a living. So I'll put on an interview from Sam. I've gone through his interviews multiple, like 10 times each, probably, just because every time that I listen to it, I learn something new that I missed the previous time. But with the podcast, people can put it on, put it in their car while they're commuting, and they can soak in that information. And I think podcast is the only platform that can get away with an extended information, because videos on YouTube, videos on TikTok, videos on Facebook, people disengage within 2 minutes. Most of my graphs, what they
Right.
tell me is that people are disengaging a minute after a minute into the video. People disengage.
Right.
So what I do is I try to keep it. If you notice my reels, they're very short, but to the point. And I do that on purpose because the longer my videos are, the less people engage into them. But the shorter I keep them and to the point, those get more videos because, again, people are busy. People have busy lives. People like scrolling, so you have to keep their attention and keep it quickly. So I'm not. I think this podcast was a great idea. I think it's a better way to get people to soak in this information and actually let it sit in, and people can make sense of it, because in a 2-minute video, 3-minute video, there's just very limited
You
very limited. You're very
It
limited.
really is. I mean,
Reach.
I was just telling Leandra in the last few days ago, and I told Sam, I feel like I got to do something new and different, because I've done the same thing. I've made
Yeah,
hundreds
yeah,
of TikToks,
yes.
and I've made hundreds or thousands of comparisons, which I'll still continue to do. But,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Same,
I mean,
same.
I've been doing it,
But
and I feel like we got to
but
expand.
it was time to take that next step. It's
Right.
why when you posted recently, I have been thinking about going a little bit more public with this, but I didn't. I was procrastinating, nervous, whatever you want to call it. But
Yeah.
when I saw you when I saw you take initiative with that and be a little bit more involved and more out
Yeah.
there, I was like, well, I think I want to be a part of this. So when I saw you
I'm
post, I was
glad.
like, this is perfect.
And
I
that's
think I have a lot to offer. I've learned a lot over these last 6 years, and it's only fair that it's only right. I feel it's important for us to pay it forward and get this information out there
I
because
agree.
if not us, who? I mean, nobody else is doing this. Nobody else. It's the
There
Nibiru
is
Followers Anonymous, Montana Skywatchers, and maybe a few that have branched out from
there's a
Montana
few
Skywatchers.
small
But it's
channels
just
that
a very
have.
small community of us. So if we don't do it, who else is going to do it? We have to. It's a sense of responsibility. I feel that, and also it drives me nuts that I can't share this. Like I feel like I walk around every day with a secret that I can't contain any longer. I just want to share with everybody.
So what happens when you tell your friends and family this?
I don't. I really.
What
I've
are their
thought. Okay, so I have a friend and who asked me about it. Uh, Shortly after we became Facebook friends, she asked me about it, and it didn't go very well. But I will say it didn't go very well. But she respected my views. That's just about as far as I got with that. But I showed her a few videos. She tells me, okay, that's a storm coming in.
Yeah.
And then the other one, that's man-made. The one with I showed you the two of my favorite videos. The ones that I posted recently. I showed her and she just it didn't go very well. My brother thinks I'm crazy, but my brother also is supportive and says, if you feel this is your truth, then so be it. You go out there and you live it. He tells me stop hiding. Stop hiding from this. If you really feel that that deeply about this, then run with it. He said because
Yeah.
because it's important. If it's important to you, he said it's important to me. He doesn't agree with it. He doesn't believe it, but he is supportive on the fact that if I believe it, then I should accept it and stop fighting it because I do feel there was a time where I was fighting it, where I almost didn't want it to be true and I just kind of wanted to be normal, quote unquote normal,
I know those days. I remember those days.
but we're not. We're here for a reason.
Yeah.
And I'm done questioning why I learned this because there's a question in my mind constantly. Why do I know this? Why doesn't anybody else know this? Why me? Why am I seeing this so clearly? Why do I see something so clearly that nobody else
I
is
don't know
seeing?
why. I know
Um,
why is it just
eh,
certain people? And a lot of them to be like black sheeps of the family. I've noticed, the ones that have had a
yeah, yeah.
difficult life, and it really is that way.
Middle
I mean, it
child
just
here.
uh-huh.
So,
It's like interesting, how we're all connected in different ways, like that.
but I'm grateful because it's been the wildest ride of my life, and it's been so amazing that I want to share this with people. I don't want people to fear it. I think there's a certain level of awareness and preparedness that people should have, but I don't by no means do I want to scare people. That's not what this is, right? I want people to know that there's way more out there than what we're told there is. That the
Yeah.
world is way more. It's just it's just a lot more. It's much more amazing. There's things happening outside our atmosphere that are way bigger and beautiful and amazing than what we think. And it's not to be feared. It's to be aware, and to know that yes, things could happen. But I mean, things
But
could
you
happen
notice,
with me going. I could be driving and something could happen to me.
right,
I
right.
mean, the
But you,
world is an uncertain place, but this is not to be feared. This is to be admired and to be. It's just such an amazing, amazing thing that I really hope people can see. I really want to share this with people because it's amazing and it's been life changing to me, and it's been the wildest ride of my life. And I really hope that I get to share it with somebody. I don't want to die and not share this with somebody. I would die in peace knowing that at least some people were able to learn this and see this, because it's amazing. It's just the most amazing thing.
right. No, I mean, I'm fortunate because my family is so like supportive, and they, they're good to give me my free time and quiet time and all that to work on this. But it's interesting. I have three sons, and they're all like 28 and above, like 28, 33, and 35. And it's funny. The oldest one, I mean, he's supportive, even though he doesn't really understand it. He just happy that I'm happy. So
Yeah, yeah,
that I don't think
yeah.
he's
That's
really
that's that's my
he's not
brother.
into it or anything. But and his reaction is just like disbelief, but he believes it because of the pictures I've shared with him. He's just like, what? And then my middle son, um, he's again very supportive and a little bit more open to it, but he still has his own beliefs. He, believe it or not, we clash on some of it. And then my youngest son, he doesn't want to hear about it at all. He's not interested. If I pull out my phone, he just goes, "Oh no!" He just,
Yeah, here we
I
go.
may have to force him to look at whatever I'm trying to show him. For like 2 minutes, I'll be, "Oh look." So and then there's Alan, and he can see them really well. My companion. I
I've
mean,
seen Alden used to be a little bit more. I used to see him more in the group. I don't
yeah,
see
he's
him anymore much at all. But I do
yeah,
remember the time where I
he's
used to
not so
see
much there
where I
on
used to see
Facebook.
him around, and I didn't make the connection that he was,
Right. Yeah, it's kind of like
right
on the
away.
down low.
And then it kind of later I learned that, and I was like, interesting. But then I kind of stopped seeing
I
them
know. You
together.
wouldn't even know we're a couple, but we've been together for 14 years, and we're forever a couple. So, but yeah, we kind of keep our life kind of on the down low. We have been, but he's really good at seeing the planets, and um he can usually explain, in general, what we're seeing. So he's my biggest student, I guess, of all.
I have yet to find one in my. Well, you know what? There is one person. When I was in New Mexico, I was taking pictures, right? And somebody's pulled over and started asking me, what are you taking pictures of? He pops in and out. His name is Simon Maestas. I'm sure he occasionally will pop in and chime in. And cool guy, but he's about as close as I've gotten to open anybody's eyes personally, my personal life.
Yeah,
I feel I've done a better job online of opening people's eyes, but in my personal life, gosh, I'd probably say he's about the only one. My cousin, I have a cousin that kind of dabbles, but I think she sees. She just lives a really busy life, and she has 5 kids, so she just doesn't
right.
have the time. And I think that's a lot of people's problem. Uh, since okay, so I was married at one point. When I met you, I was married.
Okay. Okay.
That's
I
when I was
remember that.
when I was in New
I
Mexico. I was married, and then I
uh-huh.
divorced, and then I moved out here to Salt Lake. But when I was out there, my life was a little bit slower. I had more time to put into this. I worked, my wife worked, so combined incomes. It wasn't so stressful. Now I live; it's just me, so it's all on me. So I work a lot more, and my schedule's crazy. So I don't post as much as I used to post, and I think that's a lot. That goes for a lot of people now. Is that this sky stuff takes time, and a lot of
Mhm.
people just don't have the time. Just
Man,
don't.
I noticed. I know that.
People work 12 hours, 50,
Yeah.
60 hours a week, and this stuff requires. This is why I got into time lapses, because it's like one of those things that I spot something, right. I could set my camera and just let it do its thing, and then I go back later after work, and then I do my editing, because that's a big part of all this, because the sun glare is a big factor
Yeah.
in what you see and what you don't see. So a little bit of editing to dehaze a lot of that glare is very important. I think it's a big part of the learning curve, to editing and capturing and all that is a great tool to learn a lot of this.
Yeah.
But it's time consuming. It takes a long time. Like when I post a video, and I keep my videos very simple and short, but my videos I don't just go on there and 5 minutes and it's ready. No, it takes me a little longer. And mine ain't even as complicated as yours are. So I don't want to imagine how long you
It
take.
always takes longer than I think it will. Like,
Yes, yes, yes. And right when you
yes,
think it's ready, it's like you got to go back and do something
you
else. But
got.
I can't imagine how long you take, because mine, I keep mine as simple as possible, and even those take me a few hours at least sometimes.
Yeah. No, I know. I was going to say, I mean, there's been many times when I can spend several hours for a day or two for like a 30-second or 1 minute, TikTok. It's very time consuming. You would not think, but it is, because you're doing, the video and the music and the timing and making it, and then words and then
Yes, it is.
effects.
It's a whole process. It's a whole process. And again,
But
mine, I keep them very simple. But
what's cool is
um,
how we're self-taught, I mean, which we are, of course, I
yeah,
mean, it's just trial and error, and then over time you make better videos.
we had a great teacher, but it is very. It's one of those things that I see a lot of people get really frustrated when they ask questions and they don't really get the answers to. But that kind of happened to me in the beginning. I'm not a ton of skywatches, but I stopped asking questions at one point, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna soak this information in before I make up my mind. Before this, before that, I'm gonna just soak up this information, compare it to what I'm seeing, and then go from there, right? And that that worked for me, but it again, it takes time. It's a labor. You have to like the sky stuff, or else it's gonna bore you,
No, I
because
know.
it takes time. Like you could be looking at the sky, and it could be hours before something happens. I'm lucky, as I say, I drive for a living, so I'm always outside. In my car.
Yeah,
So
you get the
and
best videos just
and,
being out driving. You
and,
do. I mean, I love them because you either you
this
set them
this
up
this
with
this
phone.
this camera here is
Yes.
some of my best work right here. I've had this camera.
What kind is that?
It's an old camera. I can't find it anymore. I literally called my ex-wife to order me for another one, because my other one
She's
had
like,
broke.
what?
But these new ones suck. Like these new cameras. This is just the one I found on Amazon. I don't even
Yeah.
think it has a brand.
So
It doesn't even have a brand on it. It's just I don't. But it picks up so much
what
more
about
than a lot of my other cameras do. Sometimes I play around with cameras. I used to have like 5 different cameras. After my divorce, I was in financial. I wasn't doing so great financially, so I had to sell a lot of it.
yeah.
In the move, so I lost a lot of that. But sometimes you got to play around with cameras. I also use this lens sometimes. It's a wide angle lens I connect to my
Oh, that's
phone.
nice.
It really makes it's a wide angle lens, so it gives you a broader picture. Works very
And that
well
connects
when,
to your
when,
cell
when
phone?
yeah, it's just a little clip on, just a little clip on thing that I put on my phone. This was like like
Okay.
like 15 $17 on Amazon.
I did
Great
not know
tool.
those were around.
It's
Cool.
really cool tool because we all know sometimes a regular camera is only going to catch a small picture
Yeah,
of it
I didn't.
when it's huge, and you need something that's going to catch a little longer. Again, I get a lot
Yeah,
of crap for using these, but I'm going to use whatever I need to use to get the shot.
there-
That's my thing.
no.
I'll do whatever. I used to use. I started with binoculars. I would turn them backwards, and then I would start
Okay.
taking pictures like that, and that's how it kind of came up to. I was like, okay, well, I could just buy one of these, and I use a lot of different methods. I experimented a lot of different ways with many different cameras, so that was another part
Nice.
of the learning curve. It's why I got good at what I do. Because I've been
Right.
doing it a long time and I've experimented and and because I'm fascinated by it, I'm addicted to it. So it's not work to me. I mean, I could spend if I could quit my job and do this 24/7, I would. You know, I wouldn't be like the storm chaser, but I'd be more like a planet chaser.
Planet. Right.
That would be my ultimate job is to be out there chasing these things and just
I
taking videos.
wish.
But I need to work, and this information is free. It's free for all. It should be free for everybody. So you can't, but you got to work with what you got. But yeah, I've used a lot of different methods to get the shots. A lot of different methods.
That's pretty cool. I did not know those clip-on
Yeah.
lenses existed.
Go on Amazon and
I
look for
definitely.
a wide angle lens. This does a micro also. It does where you could do like little like
Yeah.
bugs and stuff. Sometimes occasionally, if I'm out there in the woods or something, I'll take videos
You
of
know
certain things.
what's so
But
cool is the fact that here we are with minimal equipment,
yeah,
minimal. And yet, I mean, we don't, it's not like we have the budget of NASA to, do a job, yet
can you
we are doing
imagine?
it such a
Can
huge
you
job.
imagine? Can you imagine what they're seeing? I hate them. I hate them. I'm so annoyed with them that
Yeah,
I'm like, I want to see what you're seeing. I would love to see it from up there. I will die a happy person, a happy man, if I could just see it from up there.
from up there. Like, wait,
Yeah,
yeah. Because, there's that one picture of Yuri that is supposed to be from the ISS. I don't know if you're familiar
yeah,
with it.
yeah,
There's just
yeah.
that
There, there's
one,
there's
you know.
also there's also a picture that uh Sam's old partner
Yeah,
posted too. It was a picture from one of those balloons, right? And you could see it had to be. I think at the time it was Atu and Yuri. Okay, when I first started seeing it was Yuri and Atu in front. It was Yuri behind and Atu. It was Yuri and Atu all the time. So in that picture, you could see at least three of them,
three
surrounding the sun,
curves.
setting up the sun.
Yeah,
But you could see it from up there, and it's such a great picture. But what he told me the story behind it was that a classroom sent the balloon up there and then posted that online, and he came across it and then took that little frame that people missed, and then he posted that picture. I'll send it to you probably afterwards if I can find it, but it's a very very clear picture. Again, uh, not exactly what people are going to expect the planet to look like, but for us people who know what they look like, you could see the purple of Atu, the blue of
yes,
Yuri, and I think below maybe is Saturn. I'm not sure, but there's at least three of them.
right.
I would
Right.
love to see what they. I hate. Every time I see NASA, I start yelling at the TV because I'm like, these little bastards just hiding all the cool stuff.
No, I know. I mean, and what again? There's like in your face, or they'll tell you to your face where they supposedly, as far as I know, the Hebrew for NASA is to deceive. I'm sure you've seen that, right?
I
Right.
have.
I
I
mean, that's
have.
very popular amongst, conspiracy land, but so it's stuff like that. And did you know the word media? The word media is the name of a Greek goddess of illusion, a goddess of illusion. Her name was Media,
Oh, Jesus
you
Christ.
know. So it's stuff like that. I mean, our language itself has such a deeper meaning. Our words have
Well,
way deeper meanings.
we live in a very symbolic planet where with symbolic cultures where use symbols and language that has a double meaning. It's just it's like petroglyphs. I love when Sam posts that stuff because once you learn this stuff, you start looking at our history and petroglyphs and everything that's in our past. You see it with different eyes. Once you learn
Yeah.
this stuff, you start to realize that there's a lot of our history where they've tried to pass this information on, but
Right.
it's been over time. It's been misconstrued into religion, into folklore, into
Mythology and
mythology. But
yeah.
once you know this stuff and you look back at all that history, you see it. It has a deeper meaning and a deeper understanding of what you're seeing because you know you learn the truth. And I think the history's there. They try to warn us about it. They try to tell us about it, and it's all been chalked off to mythology and whatnot. But once you see the truth, you can see that our history is filled with evidence. All the evidence is in our history of past cataclysms and past passings. As I said before, I am not a doom and gloom guy. I think that takes focus away from this. I'm a be prepared kind of guy. Be aware and be prepared, but live your life. Don't go.
Right.
Don't
No.
go. Right. Running up credit card bills just to be prepared. What I mean is live your life, but know that we do live in an uncertain world. It's. I mean, life is uncertain, but it is important to iterate that is that we past passings have been more chaotic than this one. This one has been chaotic, but we see a lot of weather patterns, a lot of extreme weather, but I think for the most part it's been a rather stable cycle. And I think even Sam has said so. It's been a much more
Definitely.
stable
I've
cycle.
noticed a lot more floods here lately, haven't you? Like every day there's somewhere that's
We
got
have
major floods.
we've seen a lot of flooding. We here just that other day. Jesus, it rains.
Yes. In New York got,
New York is
just a
on hammer.
surprise flood.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So I
So
think we were doing, in the grand scheme of it all, it's been not as destructive, cycle as it's been in prior passings. So, this is not, as I said before, it's not something to be feared. It's something to be admired. And
yeah.
and
You
uh
know,
and be aware of and prepared, at least as much as you can. Like, I live paycheck to paycheck. I am not prepared. I This is my way of preparing. I'm addicted to watching uh and I don't know if I often think this is by no accident, but something has drawn me recently to watch the show called um Life Below Zero. It's about life in the Arctic and how to live a subsistence lifestyle and how
oh
to
man.
how to live without electricity and how to hunt and how to that's my way of preparing of how to learn how to do these things. I come from a family that my very old fashioned family where a lot of my family are agriculture farmers, have their own animals, they kill their own animals, they butcher their own meat. So I know that kind of stuff, but I like learning about life without society's comforts, and I think that it's always good to be prepared and at least knowledgeable on how to make a fire, how to how to hunt, how to do these kind of things. I think that's the kind of preparedness I can do. I can't set aside food. I can't do much because I live paycheck to paycheck. But I prepare knowledge wise. I feel
Yeah.
I'm preparing that way. But again, not something. We're not here to instill fear in
I
people.
mean, I always tell Sam, I wished I had known, I wish I had found this like 20 years ago. I wish I had had more time, then I would have made
Yeah,
it
yeah.
forward
I think my
life.
entire life would have gone in a different
Yeah.
direction had I known this earlier. But as Sam said, your time is your time. You learn when you're supposed to learn. So all you can do is do with what you have whenever the time is. And for me,
Yeah.
it's just learning. I'm like Sam says, I love learning stuff. I'm big on learning. I love anything that I watch on TV. I like it to. I'll either watch something comedy or something that I can learn something out of. And I think learning. I think knowledge is the takeaway from all this. Just to be knowledgeable of your surroundings
It,
and don't
yeah.
take your comforts for granted because one day they might be gone. You know, we don't know.
Yeah.
We you can't take things as they're always going to be one certain way because history has shown entire civilizations have fallen overnight, have disappeared overnight. We live in a very volatile place. Earth is a beautiful place, but it has its problems, and it's good to be aware of all that. It's just it's good to be aware of your surroundings.
I agree.
I think that is something that people don't really comprehend, that we literally live on a ball, on a rock that is flying through space. I don't think
Yeah.
people really grasp. I think people know that, but I don't think people really grasp the concept that we're just flying on a rock in space, and there's this whole idea that nothing happens beyond our skies. That's a load of crap. There's a lot of things happening beyond what we can see, and
No, we're
even
just
what we
kind
can.
of
You know?
right. We're so far out of touch when what's really happening, not that we're out of touch, but we're just,
No, I
uh,
think out of touch is
you think, okay,
right way to put it.
but you know what I'm
It's just
saying? We
people
see
are
one
so
thing.
people have gotten so comfortable with the way life has gone that they assume it's going to be like this forever. I had recently,
Yeah.
a few years back, I had to explain to somebody that chicken was a bird. That you didn't, that they don't just make it in a store in the back somewhere. That it's a living animal that was killed and then processed and then you have to cook it. Like I had to explain that to somebody, and they were a little young. I guess they're a little young, but I mean, still,
Yeah.
that's what I mean is that people were really disconnected from our real nature. That it takes to put food on your table. It's yes, it's easy now. You could just go to the store, but yeah, at a different time in our life, it was a lot more complicated than that. You had to go hunt something, you had to kill it, you had to butcher it, and then it's a whole process before you get to eat. We can't take that for granted. We have to know that. Be aware that our life, is a lot more complicated than society has made it for us. Society has really taken the nature part of us away from us, and I think that's
Yeah.
something to get
There's a
back.
lot of like lost art,
We
that's
need
happened because of,
yes,
forgotten knowledge, forgotten skills,
we need to get back in touch with that because the way life has been now, the way media, the way everything is pushed on us, they're just completely disconnecting us from reality. And I think it's important to know that What does Sam say? It takes 2 gallons of water to flush the toilet. You know, all these things. He said in one of his one of his interviews, he says, if you want to know what you need to be prepared for, he said, just shut off the electricity for
Yeah.
24 hours, or and you
Yeah.
will see what
Then you'll
life.
know.
You'll understand how complicated these things are. So it's good to just be knowledgeable and understand your surroundings and understand that things are easy now, but they may not always be that way. So it's always good to at least know, because I
Well,
think,
like I said earlier, I think it brings me peace of mind. I mean, because I'm not, I don't push fear. I don't do anything that associates with fear. I'm not trying to scare anybody with this, and that's why I'm like always adding happy faces and hearts. Because
yeah, because
it's
I
going to
see
be
a
an
lot of
uncomfortable,
people.
scary situation.
Because I saw a lot of people, especially like when I posted on TikTok, I saw a lot of backlash of people of commenting like, "Are you just scaring people and all this?" And I was like, "No, that's not at all what this is."
Yeah,
You know, yes, there is a certain element here of uncertainty. Of course, we can't paint it all pink and roses. There's rocks flying by. For God's sakes, there's a lot of bad things that could happen, but we can't focus on that. All we can do is just focus on
right.
learning and being prepared, or at very least knowledgeable of what's happening. Because
I
we
know.
deserve that. We deserve to be in the know of something so big that's happening around us.
Really,
We deserve that.
it's
We
true. No, I know. No, I was just a lot of good comments. People are in the comment section chatting back and forth.
I wish I could
Uh,
do those with you, but
yeah, and I did try to respond back to people in the comments, and it wouldn't let me. And in case anybody has joined just fairly recently, I was explaining how I've been deactivated from Google at the moment, so I can't even it's a miracle I'm able to go live. I think it's because we're through this other service, but um I cannot comment. You know what I
well,
mean? Once it recognized my account, so
oh my.
I'm
Uh,
going to do my best to appeal it. And I don't know, but that's what I have going on at the moment. And this is what they did to Sam. And obviously, um, I mean, that's when you realize how serious this information it really is. It really is serious.
there is a part of me that is a little squeamish about all this, because I know the implications of all this. I know that Sam has dealt with a lot of bad stuff. So there is some fear in going public with this. I would be lying if I told you it's not something I think about. Um,
Yeah,
but
me too.
as I said before, if not us, who? I mean, nobody else is doing this. Nobody else is seeing it. Nobody else it has this information. So I do feel a sense of responsibility to put it out there. I mean, you can't just wonder why.
Right,
I mean,
right.
there's a reason for all this, and
I
I
know
I
Sam,
I
he
think this
says
is
it
it.
often, but like you said, I mean, you and I have put in years and years of work on this. We've worked and worked studying, and following, what Sam has taught us. And you're right. I mean, we got to set aside our, I know I have like a shyness factor. I've had to
There is, there is.
gradually, try to get rid of it. I know Sam knows because, like, I don't know, probably a year ago, I would say this show has been in the making for a very long time. Because Sam has been talking about something like this for a long time. And then recently he brought it up again. About doing a show and talking to this person and that person, and you know so it's pretty ironic that we're here now doing this. But honestly, it's been something that he's been talking about to me for a good while.
Yeah.
So we're getting there. I mean, I'm just, it had to be, it had to wait till I was comfortable and had enough knowledge to be able to discuss this with other people.
I think
So
I think it's the right time. I think
I do too.
I do
I'm
feel it's the right
excited.
time. I think if had we done it earlier, we would have kind of just kind of forced it, but it feels right. This feels right.
I'm checking. I'm gonna try a different feature here. It says here, Phil loves the channel and greetings from the United Kingdom. So hi Phil. Hi.
Hello, Phil.
And who else do we have here? We have a fawn, and one of these days I'm gonna have to get him on here. We're gonna bring him on here so I can hear him
I would
say.
love because I've never seen a picture of a fawn. I would love.
I haven't either. I don't even know what it looks like.
Yeah, he's become so good at this, and he's been one
You
of
know,
those. He's been one of those people that's really been on it, and actually, you could see him evolve and
from
gotten
the
better
very
at it.
start.
And he's one of the real members that's actually into this. That I feel really loves this and shares the love for it and is learning and enjoys it all in general. So I see his evolution and all this, and it's great when you see that. I love seeing new members and see
Yeah, I
how they
know.
evolve and then get better and more knowledgeable. And often has been has been great seeing you here, man. I
I
appreciate
agree.
you being here, man.
Well, he's one of the moderators for my group.
I do,
Uh-huh.
and
Yeah,
I think he was a great choice. But
I could see right away how just genuinely interested he is.
yeah,
From the very, very start, and he was super like polite about it, and just very um,
yeah,
inquisitive.
he was one of those person that he's just soaking it in. He's not trying. He's just soaking it in, and I see a genuine interest there, and I love that. I wish we had a lot more of those.
I know.
That
Well, and
because he's
not
a
to
perfect member.
mention,
He's one of those people that I would spend hours talking to, and I'm sure he would love it.
right.
He's great. I hope he's open to coming
I,
on.
I do too. I do too. Afan, are you interested in joining us one day? Because I would honestly, I'd love to have. I can have up to 10 people, on this service, so we could have a whole little party line. You know, that'd be fun. Make a little, get a whole group of people together. Checking to see who else we have here. Carol Ann Bob. She's been here for
Carol's been here.
most of the show, I think. Rebecca
Carol
Stallard.
goes back. Carol goes back sometime.
Yeah. Let's see. Happy Soul Sailor, which is Tanya from Facebook. Some of these are a little older. I don't know. Got Nancy Greenlear.
Nancy,
Greenler.
Nancy Greener,
I know that name.
with way back. We go back.
Right, right, right.
She's a close friend. We keep in touch often. Me and Nancy. Nice to see you here, Nancy.
Cool. Wendy Williams.
Wendy as well.
Yeah. Are you able to see the chat from your side of this?
I don't.
You're
But,
not? Okay.
hold
I
on.
was wondering if what you could see.
Oh wait, yeah, there we go.
Can you? Yeah, on the right hand side, is it your?
Yeah, I know it's showing me, but yeah, I'm seeing. Oh, there's.
We're still getting this figured out, guy. I mean, about 15 minutes before we went live, I was making a payment for this service, so we could activate everything. So it's such a spur of the moment idea that we're doing this, but I feel like we're doing really well. Carol Ann, she says, Rebecca, here, show everybody. You are exactly where you are supposed to be. Thank you, Carol. That's really nice. I mean, that is reassuring, you know. I mean, it
Mm.
really is, especially when you're somebody like me that did not set out to. It wasn't like I always wanted to have a podcast. You know, that's not why I'm, doing this. It just has fallen in my lap in a way. And I feel like since I'm able to share this information, like you were saying, I feel like I should, like an obligation, to share what I know.
Well, that's that question that I often ask myself. That always messes with me constantly. Is that what am I supposed to do with this? Like I can't. People. A lot of people refuse it in my personal life. How can I? What am I supposed to do with this? I mean, we're supposed to pay it forward. I mean, what else can we do with it? I mean, it's
Yeah,
been great, but I mean, what's the next step? That's been for the past year or so. That's been messing with me. Like what? It just seems like such a waste to not do this. We evolved and we've learned so much over the years, and we put so much time into this that it'd be
right.
kind of a waste not to share it. And it's just one of those questions that I ask myself all the time. What am I supposed to do with this? Like, what am I supposed to do with it? And I guess this is it. I mean,
Tell
what else
people.
could it be?
Yeah. I mean, that's all we can do is just show people and tell them. And like I said, I mean, I know it's spreading. I know it's growing. I can see that it is. Every day I have, more and more and more followers, members, all of it. So eventually it's going to just be huge. It has to be. If
I
it's
I
going at
I
the pace it's
I
going.
see I see this as a good time for this information to be pushed forward because I think we're living in a time right now where people are questioning everything. People are questioning the government. People are questioning
Yeah.
everyday life, and I think this may be helpful. This is helpful for people to maybe make that connection to realize why the world right now is the way it is. It has everything that is wrong with politics, everything that's wrong with the world right now is connected to this. This is the biggest thing that's happening in our
Right.
lifetime, in
That's what I
in,
say.
in all our lifetime. Like we have to be part of this. This is bigger than us. This is bigger than our shyness. This is bigger than our reluctantness to put ourselves out there. Like this is bigger than us, and we have to do this. I mean, we
Yeah.
have to. And I really hope that with people questioning the world, I think this would come at a good time. I know there's going to be at least a few people out there where that do connect the dots. And if it's just a handful of people, then so be it. And that those handful of people wake up another handful of people, and then we've done what we can do. But I don't want to wake up one day and say I squandered this knowledge that took us so long to learn. So yeah.
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, I'm thankful that I'm able, to help Sam, and share this information because it's
When it's been heartbreaking to see Sam. I think Sam had gotten a lot of traction with his past partner, and that kind of went to hell.
it's
And for him to have to start all over again and still not give up and still be optimistic.
no, I know.
I gotta say that's admirable because personally, I don't know how much crap I would have been able to take before I would have been like, screw this, I'm done. Because it's sad. Just in the 6 years that we've seen that we've been close to Sam, he's down with a lot of crap. And he's get trolls all the time. There's groups out there dedicated to putting down Sam. I can't tell you how often I get, some stupid joke about his crayon drawings. It's always something, and Sam still chugs along, and I respect that very much and admire him for that because not everybody would take half the crap that he's taking.
Right. I mean, but it's because it's because he knows he's right. I mean,
That's what keeps me going.
right.
That's
He know
what keeps me
right.
going is
I know he's right.
because it's undeniable. This is really happening. It's not a theory. It's not a maybe. It's not a. It's this is a fact. You know, I started taking video and taking pictures at one point because I wanted to capture something so obvious, so obvious that it would be undeniable for people to say, okay, this is happening. And I feel I don't want to toot my own horn, but I feel some of my videos I have accomplished that, but still people refuse it. All right, still people chuck it off to it's a storm coming in, which I find kind of hilarious. But
Yeah.
or it's a man-made object with stripes that is bigger than our moon. You know, people still. So this is why I feel this podcast may do what our videos can do because I still feel some people are still fighting it, and I think that this might resonate a little bit more with some people. Because all it took was 10 seconds of me hearing Sam, and I knew he was the real thing. There was something about hearing. I think we know the truth when we hear it, and I think that's why the media always slips in a little bit of truth with the lie
Okay.
because they
That
know
makes
that
sense.
people
Yeah, that
sense
makes
truth
total
and people
sense.
sense lie, and I think that's why they always slip in a little bit of a truth with like 90% bull crap because
Uh-huh.
people do know the truth when they hear it for the most part, and that's what happened with me when I heard Sam. And when I heard Sam, it was the greatest thing because he was actually calling out. He was calling out Steve Olson from WSO.
Yeah, the money boys. Yes,
Did you go down that rabbit hole? I went down that rabbit hole, and
I
I
did.
I I at that point I was like, okay, these guys are full of crap, and I really wasn't buying it, right? But I was still watching because it was the only source of information. And then when I came across Sam, he was calling them out, and he was like, "This this video is for you." He was calling them out, and I was like, "Who is this guy? I love this guy." Like everything in his voice was just so real. It was just like it was just undeniable. And then after that, I proved it over and over again. Videos, pictures. I proved it to myself. I think a lot of it was trying to prove it to myself. And then after that, I just wanted to prove it to other people. And now I'm kind of at the point where I do it just because I love doing it. I love doing it, and I'm like, whoever, I'll put it out there. If people are open to it, good. If people ignore it, well, there's nothing I can do about it. But yeah, it was
Right.
interesting to hear Sam. I hate that those videos were lost. I really hate that they were lost
I wish.
because it was great to hear Sam call these people out because these people, I think it was Jeff P. Um, Steve is it Steve Olson? Is that his name? Steve, the
Yes.
USO guy.
Yeah.
They're really pushing a lot of crap, and they're making money doing it. And
Well, right. They were
yeah,
not truthful about the money situation, and
mhm,
Sam got you. He's been used financially. People have made money
mhm.
by attaching themselves to him and being
Like, did
friends
you ever
with
see that
him.
interview that he had with Sam? He was really playing. He was talking like a politician. Steve Olson when they had that interview with Sam, it was just, it was just not a. It wasn't a fair. He really wasn't. He had Sam on just there just to make a video. He wasn't
Yeah.
really, really trying to learn anything. He was just trying to make money. That's when I
No,
really
no.
just
And then
when I unsubscribed from his channel and a lot of these other people like uh, the Planet X News. That's another one. Oh God, people,
okay.
please stay away from these people because they will ask you for donations and give you nothing in exchange. And this is free information. This should be free for all. We all have the right to it. We all live on Earth. We all live on the we're all one. The world does a good job at dividing us, but we're all on the same rock. We're all on the same rock. We're all having the same experience here on Earth, and don't stay away from these channels because they're crap. They're absolutely garbage, and you might get like 2% truth wrapped up in a bunch of crap that is just only going to push you away from the truth.
Right. Well, they
The
push
truth
that.
is out there. You just have to go with your instinct. Go with your instinct. I went with my instinct with Sam, and I do not regret it because my instinct up until I found Sam was all this doesn't all this seems plausible, but it just seems so far off base that it didn't satisfy me inside. There was something inside me that always was like, yeah, I'm not buying it. It didn't satisfy my questions. When I came across Sam, I was like, okay, I think I'm done searching. I think I'm done searching, and here I am, 6 years later. I still feel it's the truth. I know it's the truth. I
Yeah.
wouldn't be here talking about something I didn't feel so strongly about. I would not be
Me
pushing
neither.
something
No, I would not either.
that I was doubtful about. I 100% know this is real. I mean, it's repetitive, guys. Like you could just go outside and it'll take you some time to learn, but after a while, you will see the patterns. You will see this repeat itself over and over to the point where it's so in your face that you cannot deny it. I
Yeah.
challenge anybody, as I said earlier in this podcast, I challenge anybody to just put the time in. Don't argue with me. Don't argue. Don't just soak up the information. Don't make an opinion. Don't be biased. Try to keep your biases aside, because if you think you know something, it's really hard to learn something new. You have to just stay open. Even now, I still learn new things. Right? Like this is a ever learning thing, and it's so big that like now Yuri coming close. I have not experienced Yuri. I'm really interested in what that's going to be like because I know the capacity, no add to, it's Saturn, but Yuri has not been one that I've really experienced. And the Salamander group kind of
Right.
scares me a little
Right.
bit. It's kind of creepy,
That's really
but
significant. The
it's
salamander group. I mean, when you understand that that is considered wormwood, that cluster of asteroids, fields of asteroids, is so significant, that thankfully though,
it's
Tim
in our
says
history.
that asteroid impact is unlikely. It is, as far as the big ones go, maybe a smaller one, but he says thankfully, I mean, they are connected to these other planets, but they
We're all like just a bunch of magnets, and these things are connected magnetically to these other objects. So they wouldn't just come here. They wouldn't just come here easily. It's a little more complicated. Planets don't just crash into each other as every every platform out there is pushing this rhetoric where planets crash into each other. They don't, at least not easily. There has to, where and we were saying this. Sam has mentioned this before that our planet's moons are on our north pole, on the top side of our planet. If you notice, their moons and asteroids are on the bottom, which leads us to believe that there's a polarity difference between. So we're maybe positively and they're negatively charged. So
yeah.
there's not going to be a collision there because there's no attraction. There's that force that we see crazy electric storms of them just pushing themselves away. So I thought it was really interesting that Sam pointed that out because I never really put attention to that our planet's moons are on the top on the top on the top side of our planet, while there's asteroids and everything on the bottom. So it is obvious that we have a different polarity there. So it wouldn't happen easily that these asteroids would just fall onto us. It's not something that is impossible to happen. I think
Right.
it is something that is possible, but it's not likely. It's not likely. So don't freak
Right.
out.
Yeah, because you see all the movies about, asteroids, heading towards Earth, and
Yeah,
but
no, it's more complicated than that. It's just think magnetically and electrically.
yeah.
It's not. I mean, again, this is why people have such a wrong idea about all this, is because what we've what they've been pushed, what they push in the media, what they push in school, what NASA pushes is just a bunch of garbage, and it's not based in reality at all. And I hope we get with the program. I like there is scientists out there that are kind of making the connection. There's that one channel, the Thunderbolts Project on YouTube,
Yeah.
where it's a
It's
group of
really good.
scientists that are kind of making that connection that it is electrical and not gravitational. And they did great work. I love watching anything that new
Hmm.
that comes up with them, because they're respectable scientists. They're, astrophysicists who actually are thinking outside of the box. I mean, it's kind of frustrating that we're still working on work from Einstein that's so outdated. Like, have we really not learned anything? Are you really gonna tell me that we have not learned anything new since Einstein and Newton? I mean, come on, like,
No, but don't
science
you
is
think?
always making new
I mean,
discoveries. There's no way that we're still working on work from 100 years ago. Like, we have to think outside of the box, and we have to think of new things, and think outside of what we think is what it is, because
right? But
I know
people
nobody likes the fact that
like,
Sam says that Einstein was wrong, but science, even Einstein died knowing that his equations were incomplete. He was not he said this, that he was not satisfied with his theory of relativity. But what happened is that he became a rock star overnight, right? At a
no,
time where he was pretty much broke. So he kind of ran with it, but he did die. When he died, before he died, he did say he was still working on that theory of relativity, to the unification model, as Sam puts it. He died knowing that it was incomplete. Basically, his theory of relativity was incomplete. So, you got to give him some credit for that. That he was not satisfied with it, but the scientist that when he first proposed that, scientist just ran with it, and overnight he became a science rock star. So, we have to kind of think, outside of that, because we've been running that for over 100 years, and no new science has come since. And I think it's time that we evolve, and look at the world a little
right,
differently. Because if we have learned what we have learned in our time with limited resources, imagine what NASA is capable of doing with unlimited, funds.
right. I
It,
mean, I feel like the proof that we have to share, which is just a collection of pictures from so many people worldwide. That's why it is truly citizen science. It's just everyday people, citizens, who have compiled these pictures and compared one after another. And because of that, you can take these pictures and you can prove that the same shapes are happening over and over again,
yeah.
happening, the same particular looking clouds will be in one part of the world. And then, a few months later, there it is again in another part of the world.
And you could see the effects afterwards. Okay,
Yes.
one of my videos one of my time lapses that I made a while back is very close. I was meaning to post it recently, but it was Attu's moon that it passed so close, and that whole week was really close passings of Attu's moon.
Yeah.
Really shortly after was major earthquakes and volcanic activity. And if you're paying attention, you can make that connection. You can see these things pass so close, and then you pay attention to alternative news, because the the major channel news, Fox and CNN and all that crap. You're not gonna get that information there. You have to seek out this information elsewhere.
Yeah.
But if you seek this information elsewhere, you will see that we have a lot of extreme weather. We have earthquakes. We have volcanic activity. We have all these. We have floods. We have rain bombs. Every time that these planets pass by, if you know where to look, you will see that they are causing destruction. They
Right.
absolutely are causing destruction. I get the question a lot. Well, wouldn't they be affecting us? They absolutely are affecting us. Only most people think it's carbon emissions, which I'm not saying doesn't play some part in it. I mean, we have taken a huge crap on this planet, with cars and combustion and all that. But what's going on here isn't just on planet Earth. Like, um, the pole, everybody's tipped. Our entire solar system is tipped when these planets came in. I mean, look at Saturn and all their poles started showing activity. What, maybe 10, 12 years ago, right around the time these planets came in, you started seeing activity at their poles. You think magnetically, electrically, you have other bodies coming in, and that would make a whole lot of sense. Part of what got me opening my eyes too was the moon phases. I don't understand how people ignore that our 8 moon phases no longer exist. Now we see the shadow of the moon on the bottom. Why? It never happened that way. And people have not noticed that we have had the same routine as far as the moon goes. It's been a thumbnail, a little thing, and then it gets a little more, a little more, and it's been the same 8 cycles or 7 cycles. I know it's the 9 phases of the moon, 8 phases, nine. I'm not sure, but it's always been the same crescent moon on the side, never on the bottom. And now we're seeing. It's not that the moon changes; that we're tipped, and we're seeing the shadow now on the bottom, folks, because we're tipping.
Right.
People don't make that connection. It drives me nuts because that's one of the first things that I noticed was our moon phases. Because I've always been a sky watcher. I've always watched the moon, and when the moon phases started to change, I noticed, not consciously. It's like my subconscious knew something was wrong. I didn't realize it till later what exactly it was, but it was something so constant in your life, changes like the skies. I mean, I'm sure somebody's gonna notice, right? But
Right. Right. Yeah. I speaking of the moon, there's been a lot of people lately getting capturing images of what looks like a crescent behind the moon. Have you been seeing those?
I haven't caught that.
You
Anytime
haven't?
something like that, anytime I've seen somebody post something like that, it's been really overcast here, so I have not seen it.
Not
But
catch.
I have. There was a time when I was in New Mexico where I saw the craziest thing. I took the pictures of a moon behind our moon. In fact, and this is the craziest. This was the craziest thing that happened. That year was just the craziest thing. Uh, I literally saw the moon. Something passed in front of the moon. Something big that covered the moon entirely for about maybe 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes. And then it came back into view. During that, I took that picture and it shows a big, huge moon behind it, and then our moon in front of it. It was a night shot, so it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't the clearest, but it was a good shot. It was a good picture. I put it on night mode. I had a pretty fancy camera at that time, so I put it on night mode and I took a long exposure and I
Right.
posted that, and it's a pretty obvious moon behind it. But that week was the craziest week I've had seeing the moon, because there was, I don't know if it was probably asteroids. I think there was a moon behind it, and there was a huge asteroid. I'm thinking it might have been the Skull asteroid. I took a picture of that one, but it's really dark, but you could see it. You could see the two, what looks like the Skull asteroid eyes in the big rock. But it was just a
Right.
curious thing, and I don't understand how people have missed such things. Again, I think people sense what's happening, but I don't, because such limited information. People aren't putting aren't connecting the dots. So and this is a whole purpose for this podcast is for people who are sensing that something's amiss. Maybe this might help them connect those dots.
Yeah, I totally. I mean, there are people all the time, every day, looking for the answers. I know how we found Sam.
Hopefully they find
Thing will
this. And
happen. People will find you and I talking about Sam. And they'll find out about him that way. You know,
yeah,
but there's one question here. Somebody asked. Let's see.
I'm gonna look at the
I
comments too.
wish. What was this? I could. I wish I could. Oh, as somebody answering a question. Um, DL, what do you know about Tiamat, Jesus? I don't have a whole lot of knowledge on Tiamat.
Well, TMI, I went down that rabbit hole, but there's this TMI basically, from what I understood, because I didn't go down that rabbit hole that much before I found Sam, but I was right around that time coming across those TMI and then the other names that they have
Yeah,
in the system. I think it's our Bara or some weird names, but I think Tiamat was supposed to be what is our asteroid belt. It was just a planet that I don't know, disintegrated or had some kind of
it's like a piece.
something happened to it where it just broke
Yes,
into pieces.
it broke
So
off.
there's theories that it's what our moon, how we got our moon. Others say it's our asteroid belt. But honestly, I don't know. Like I didn't there was nothing conclusive with going down that rabbit hole. So I kind of just swerved away from that. Right around that time, I came across Sam, so I stopped going down
Right.
other rabbit holes because But I think a lot of that is missing, not necessarily misinformation, but people who just misunderstand or because this information is so limited. I think that you know given our history, because it's spoken about in just about every scripture, every Bible out there speaks of it, every manuscripts, there's petroglyphs. So I think throughout time we've lost real facts that have been mixed up with church, with religion talk, with other things, which I think goes for everything. Everything that we really think we know evolved from something else and kind of became whatever theory or whatever. And I think TMI kind of plays into that, in my opinion. I don't know enough
Right.
to state facts, but that the theory on that one is that it was just a planet that disintegrated for whatever reason, and it became. Some people say our moon, some people say the asteroid belt, but that's all I got on that one. I think
That-
Sam has touched on that subject before, and I think he said something similar.
I know. I wish he could comment in the comment section. I was checking my phone. I was like, well, maybe he'll send me a message on Messenger or something. Communicate. But I want to bring that up with him next time I talk to him and just get his take on it because I have not heard him go into that. But I've just heard what you've described there as well.
I I listen to Sam's interviews over and over again. Sometimes when I'm sitting in my car and I don't want to listen to music, I'll just put on one of his interviews just because I enjoy just hearing him talk. Um,
Yeah.
and also because there's always something new that I learn because a lot of his interviews, he has a lot of old interviews, that I feel have been kind of that I feel maybe we should repost there, from has some areas with Bad Baby and Fight for Our Freedom. I don't know if you've seen those interviews.
I have. I have.
Interesting interviews, but I think he touches on some of those. So some people have asked him. I think he answered a few questions regarding that on some of those interviews. And for everybody who's listening out there, look up his old interviews. There's a lot of interesting information there. A lot of interesting stuff. And just kind of go through them, and I still listen to them over and over again, and I still learn new things. So
I do too.
you know, a lot of people say that he's very vague about what he shares, but if you hear his interviews, he's pretty open about a lot of things. I'm sure there's a lot of things that he keeps to himself. God knows what else those Pleiadians told him, you know. But a lot of the questions that people ask on a regular basis are answered in a lot of his interviews.
And
In most of the interviews, there's a lot of those answers.
yeah, no, you're right. And then there's, a lot of things he's, you can tell he's being very carefully answering certain things. Usually it's about when it comes to aliens and crafts, those are the most careful I've noticed that he gets, because he knows they're listening and they're always, keeping tabs on
He's
him.
careful. I think not just for his safety, but also to not push people away or to because as I was saying earlier, you have to be careful how to talk to people because if you start too much, you'll lose people. You know, you have to kind of start at you got to meet people at their level of understanding. You know, at the point that they're asking the questions, and I think he's very careful with that. And I think he does a pretty good job when it comes to that. You know, as keeping people engaged instead of freaking people out with overload of information. You know, because we learned this in a course of 6 years. You know, to just throw that on somebody all at
Right.
once.
Which
You have to be
happens
careful.
every day.
And
Yeah.
and also, you know, as he was saying in one of his interviews, like he has to follow some rules as to not cause a level of panic. You know,
Mhm.
which I feel is a very fair and intelligent way of approaching this. Because everybody out there is always on this whole cataclysm and we're gonna die and you got to be prepared. And I'm not saying that's entirely untrue, as I was saying that it's good to be prepared and aware. But you know, we're not focused on that part of this. We're focused on knowledge. You know, that way, if things do happen, we aren't confused because that's the part that scares me about all this. If something does happen, people are going to be so confused. It's going to create chaos. We have to know at least what to expect or at least what could happen, you know, so we could be better informed and make better decisions when and if things happen. You know,
Yeah.
it's just yeah. I like Sam's approach to this. You know, I questioned it when I first started. I thought he was just being a jerk, but it's not. It's just there's a reason why Sam does things the way he does. Don't take it personal. For any new members out there, if Sam maybe comes off a little whatever, don't take it personally. There's just a way that you have to do things when it comes to this topic, or else you're going to lose people or cause a panic, and that's never a good
Right.
thing. You know, you just
Yeah.
trust his process. It works. It really does work.
Yeah. No, I mean, when I visit with him, honestly, he's quite humorous. He's got a really good sense of humor. I don't know if you've noticed that or not, but I have. He's just,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
a side to
Over
him that
time,
you don't really get to see when you're just
yeah,
watching
yeah. Over time,
comments.
you see a different side of him that you're not going to see right away. You know, it's like anybody that you have to get to know somebody to really, you know.
Right.
I don't talk to him on the phone, but we exchange messages, you know, often enough. We've had really good conversations, you know. I call him my friend. I feel he's a friend. I'm sure he feels the same way. But you know, trust his process is all I can say. There's a reason why he does things the way he does. You know, just
Right.
trust the process.
Even though you may not understand it at the time,
Yeah,
I mean, because to me, he's always been kind of cryptic in his answers, but it does leave you hanging to where you
yeah,
will.
no, and that can be a little frustrating at
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
But the more you learn on your own, the more you understand what's happening. You know, and I think if he did things any differently, he wouldn't have been he would have gotten as far as he has. So you know, to now, you know, he's done a great job with pushing this information, you know, to as many people as possible. The documentation, the documented photos and videos is just it's just mind blowing what has what he has amassed it, between all of us citizen scientists here, that all the information that's come together has just been amazing. You know.
I I can't imagine. I keep picturing, him starting a Facebook group all by himself, and then slowly building up a group of people. Because to release this information just out of nowhere, just like he did, back in 2010. He just started one day telling people about this other solar system. I just feel like that's such a big mountain to face, trying to, build up to this point where we're at now, where we have so much proof, because back then we didn't have that much proof. He was just an
Yeah.
idea at that point, as far as others were concerned.
I,
Yet
I
he
can only
knew.
imagine what the group was like in its beginning stages. It must have been
Right.
exciting. It must have been like they must have not. I don't think Sam really realized what an impact this would have on people, and I think hopefully in the near future on society itself. Because this is very
Don't
cool. This is very cool.
don't you know it has to lead? I mean, if it plays out like the Pleiadian told him, and how Sam is in their history books, then it has
See,
to.
that's the part that I kind of struggle with because I know how accurate Sam is. It scares me. Those things scare me because I know how
Right, because you
accurate.
know how big this is.
Because I know how accurate he is.
Uh-huh.
Those kind of claims, at one point I could just chuck them off to maybe not. But when you know how accurate Sam is, it becomes a little bit more real, and you start to question, like, holy crap, like this is real. And like this whole Pleiadian thing, it's really easy to dismiss until you start seeing how accurate this man is, and then it starts kind of freaking you out a little bit, and then you
Right.
kind of accept it, and then you just kind of roll with it.
Right.
So
I mean, because like you said earlier, like he's right, and like once you reach that point to where there's no point in looking at other options of a Nibiru idea. There's just, no
well,
point.
you know the truth when you hear it, for the most part.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to reiterate on that is if you're here and you're new and you're doubtful of all this, just give this a chance. Give this a chance because you might be turning away from one of the most important things in human history, and I don't say that lightly. You know, it's taken me years to come to terms with that, but this is one of the biggest things in human history right now, and
Hmm.
I think it deserves to at least explore it. At least give yourself the chance to maybe learn something. Instead of just dismissing it to a conspiracy. Give it the time.
Right.
That's all I invite any new members just to give it the time that it merits. Don't take things personally. Things are the way they are because they're supposed to be that way, but just soak in the information. There's a ton of information. You put out great stuff. Sam, there's a ton of interviews. There's a lot of
Right. There
there's
really
a
is a lot
lot
of
of literature
information
here.
out there.
There's a lot of information here. Like, I know people want to just go on and make a comment and ask a question and have it answered. And sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. But if it doesn't work, the information is there. You just have to look for it. Go up to, I think you have a lot of the pictures and stuff. You pin them or you put.
I
There's
have a
somewhere
few.
you can find them. I'm not. Maybe you
There
could tell.
are,
You could tell the
and
listeners.
honestly, if you just go on top of just on Facebook and you just type what it is you want to see, like Atu's moon or Napis, if you just type it in there, it pulls up a lot of things I've posted, showing examples.
With those
Yeah, you
keywords.
just gotta type lead
Go up to
object.
the Nibiru followers anonymous from Montana Sky, which is go up to the search button.
Uh-huh.
And if you want to learn about Atu's moon,
Just type
all
it.
that, just type it in, and everything with
Right.
that word
Because
will
that's
come
what
up
I
there.
do.
there is a ton of information out there. I post as often as things happen, as often as I catch them. You know, Facebook is always pushing me to post every day, but it doesn't happen that way. You know, it happens when it happens. You know, these
Right.
sites sometimes you could kind of predict what's going to happen. Sometimes it just pops out of nowhere, and you got to catch it at the moment. It's really brief. Sometimes you could see it coming in the distance, and it'll take hours before it gets close. But
Right.
the information is there, the knowledge is there. You know, dig in. There's a ton of it. Start watching it. Go on to go outside. You know, there's no substitute for going outside and actually getting familiar with your skies. That's one of the best advices I can give you, is just get familiar with your skies, and also remember that 20 what 15 12 15 years ago, our skies weren't green, they weren't purple, they weren't red.
Hot pink.
You know, I know that's become very normalized now, like is like our skies have always been like that, but
Well,
all it takes is I have VHSs. I don't know, maybe the younger generation doesn't know what the VHSs are, but or a VCR, but I have movies, old movies. I haven't seen them in a long time, where you could see the skies are very normal. Blue skies, there's very normal clouds, nothing like what the skies are like now. You know, like you have to understand that what people perceive to be normal isn't normal. And I think the younger generation doesn't know the difference, but us older folks, we saw a time where the skies were just very bland and normal and boring for the most part. But things have
right.
changed. Purple
Yeah.
colors are normal, green,
We
you know,
did not
those are
grow
those
up
are
with that. And like you said, they've just worked their best to normalize, and I noticed a lot of what I notice is how the meteorologists, like your local weatherman, pass stuff off and chuckle about it. And um, it makes people feel comfortable, even though people have never seen whatever it is before. And once they see it on the news and the news passes it off as okay, then
yes, yes.
it
Or
must be
once they
nice.
put a name to it, once they name it. That's why you have like 20 new names for clouds. Shower clouds, roll
Yeah,
clouds. You know, there's that saying, if there's a name to it, then people won't fear it. If I know it has a name, then people will stop
right.
fearing it. And I think that is the whole psychological part of all this, is that's why they normalize it. That's why they'll put it on the news as, oh, this is a shelf cloud. When did you ever see a shelf cloud or ever heard of a shelf cloud in
Or the
our?
roll clouds and the
It's
yeah,
this is fairly new. Like these are new name clouds that only they added maybe to the dictionary, what, maybe 5-10 years ago. You know,
well,
like
in
that was new.
2016, yeah, in 2016 they released a list of new cloud names.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta question that. I mean, we never had those. You know,
Right, now
no,
they're
no,
new. They're
no.
all of a sudden we got new clouds.
Question everything, guys. Remember that the news is full of crap. It's propaganda. If you want to learn anything these days, you have to learn it yourself. You have to be self-taught, because most things out there are just a bunch of crap. And this goes for everything. So this goes for your health. This goes for the skies. This goes for everything. You have to be self-taught, because everything is based on money on the bottom line.
Right.
Everything in society now is about the bottom dollar, and everything has been manipulated because of the mighty dollar, because of this. It's so because to keep us working, to keep us paying taxes, it's always all about money. And when you realize that
But money is control.
everything is influenced by money,
Yeah.
money, everything you see on TV, everything. So take control of your life, take control of what you learn, and be self-taught, and don't let anybody tell you that you're crazy, because it's okay to question things. It's okay to doubt things. It's okay, go with your instinct. As I said before, there's a lot of people out there that I know, this is something that is happening, but just don't know how to connect the dots, because information is so limited. even YouTube. I remember when when I first started posting on YouTube, there was a lot more information. Now I can't find any of it. Any of the same information that I used to watch on YouTube
Yeah,
when I
I've
first
noticed that
started,
too.
all of it's gone. All of it. And I'm not saying all of it's good. A lot of it is I'm glad it's gone, but there's a lot of stuff that's everything is really they've really done very well at censoring a lot of things that we should know.
Well,
Ever since I started taking my life, ever since I've been self teaching myself, everything has improved. My health, my everything has improved because you have to. Nobody's gonna do it for you. Nobody. If it's not making them money, they're not. They don't care. That's just it.
yeah, yeah. I know we've both you and me went on a we've been on a weight loss journey, and I'll just say that too. Our lives kind of parallel. In a way, it's
Very
kind of
much, very much,
you
very much.
know. So it's like and in the same time frame. It's just pretty interesting. I didn't put that together till this evening. So
Yeah, a lot of our our recovery, our
yeah,
health, our
yeah.
our perception of the world we live in.
It makes me feel more connected than I realized.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
That's awesome. That's awesome
yeah,
to know. Because we've been such a big part of each other's lives for so long now. I'm closer to you guys than I am to a lot of people in my personal life. I
well,
don't feel. I have a few friends in my personal life, but between us, a lot of the times I have to pretend to be a certain way just to just to be around, just to keep certain friends, and I don't feel that way when I'm with you guys. I would have never talked like this. Is nice to get all this off my chest, to be able to talk about this openly, because I
sure,
can't do that in my personal life. And it's frustrating, and it's something
right.
that I just want to just uh you know talk about this with somebody. This has been therapy. These last, we said it's going to be hours that are going to fly by. It's been 3.5 hours now,
I know, I
and
know. We
it's
did.
been like
Yeah, it sure
therapy.
has.
You know, I've been going to therapy recently too. That's another thing that I started doing, but I can't talk about it because I'll end up in a straitjacket. So that's not a topic I touch with my therapist. So this is a cool way to kind of get that out there, and hopefully open some eyes, and it's really nice that we are more connected than we realize.
That we thought.
Yeah,
It really is. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I can't believe 3.5 hours have gone by.
yeah,
We were concerned because I had an hour and 45 minutes available as
yeah.
free time, and then you have to pay. So I told Jesus, I asked him, I said, do you think I should go ahead and just buy a subscription, because we could go over the hour and 45 minutes possibly, but
Well over.
I'm glad we did. I'm glad.
Yeah,
But
hopefully this got some people's
yeah,
hopefully this gets the ball rolling for some people.
it will. I was getting ready to say we have unlimited. We now that we have a paid subscription, there's unlimited time. We can use this feature, this service as much as we want.
And
And
I don't
bring
want to
on more and more people to talk.
and I don't want to put pressure on people to join us if they don't want to, but if you are knowledgeable and you've been with us for some time, please try to consider,
I
this
want
is
that
very
too.
this is important. This is very important. This is not this is big. This is very important. This is bigger than us individually. This is something that we need to do for humanity itself. And I know that sounds big, but this is very big. This is a very big topic. And
Right, right.
I
No,
really, I really hope that you guys consider coming on and just sharing your thoughts. And sharing what you've learned, and I'm sure everybody will, you could maybe get it off your chest, because I know it's difficult to talk about it in our personal lives, but this is a good opportunity to do so, and maybe open some eyes while you're at it, and hopefully you'll consider joining, the next one. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, now that I understand more about how all of this works, what our options are, then yes, I mean, I can just send out invite as people want to talk. If they have something they want to share, I mean, that's what this is totally about. It's for us, for our groups, and then for the people out there that want to hear what we know, not just me and you, but there's like a whole, you know, multiple groups of people out there that spend, multiple hours a day working on this themselves. I'd like to hear their point of views too. So that's
Yeah.
pretty exciting. I was looking to see people in the comments are having a good time. So
Good. More comments, more
yeah,
comments.
they're doing great. I wish I could type back to you guys, but hopefully soon I'll get that. I'm going to try to appeal it and see if that goes anywhere. So, not sure what's going on, but anyway, well, I'm thinking maybe we'll go ahead and wind down.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I'm
I'm
getting.
sure my neighbors, I don't know. I mean, it's like about midnight. Yeah,
Yeah,
12:17, and I'm out in my
maybe
front
you
porch.
have them while entertainment while they're listening to this.
They're probably like, "Well,
But
this
it
lady
was
be
a great. It
quiet."
was great. I enjoyed this very much. I really
Me
needed
too.
this. Really needed this. It's been one of those things that it's hard to just keep it to yourself.
I know.
I want to just scream it out loud, and I try to with my videos. I just want to say I put a lot of time and love into whatever I post.
Yeah, yeah.
It comes from a place of love and hoping that it resonates with somebody. And you know, Rebecca posts all the time great stuff. Check out her videos if you have questions. I post my favorite ones. I post a lot, but my favorite ones I make into reels. Go into my. You can go into my 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 account and go into the reels, and those are my favorite ones. Those are the ones I
Oh, on the
post the most
reels.
of.
Yes, yes,
Yeah, I have
yes,
a lot.
yes.
There's a ton of videos, but my favorite ones, my better work, I think, is the ones that I make into reels. They're very short and to the point, But
They're awesome.
they're it comes from a long time of learning and a long time of loving this, and there's a lot of time and love into it, and for you as well. I'm sure it's a labor of love, so I hope it
It
resonates with you.
is. It is. I pour over, YouTube looking for, just the perfect videos to make videos out of, things that just show things, the planets. I don't know. I spend a lot of time just looking, for things for videos. So it's a process.
Yeah.
But anyway, well, I
Well, it was
appreciate.
fun. I
Yeah,
enjoyed
I've been
it very
having
much.
a good time too. Just if you're listening, I know there's 23 people here right now, and then of course we'll have people watching the recordings that this will be out there, But just know that this will be a consistent show from here on, and I will be more prepared next time with. I'll get the all the different pictures loaded to this site, So I got to finish doing that, and then as we talk about things, I'll be able to access an actual photo, so that will make it a little bit more
Yeah, yeah,
entertaining,
yeah,
and we'll have more people joining us. I know Leandra is going to hop on, and um, Mark. I don't know if you know Mark in Ireland. Do you know Mark?
Mm,
Um,
last name.
I know. I was like, tell me his. It's Cunniffe.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Can
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, him and I communicate daily, and he's actually he secured samuelhoffman.com. He's got that secured,
Oh,
and
really?
he's
Got the domain name.
he's doing some writings about Sam. I
Oh,
don't
no.
want to just spill the beans and tell you everything, but he's got his own thing going, and he's in Ireland. And then we got Jillian Watson. She's real connected with Sam. I mean, him and her go way.
Andy Petty.
Andy Poole
Petty.
and
Petty
Petty
had, oh,
Basco.
Petty's one of my favorite Skywatchers. I
I
think
know, and he's in
I
Hungary.
love his stuff. I would love to see him on here too. It'd be great.
I do.
I feel like he's very knowledgeable.
Yeah.
But maybe he will, maybe he won't. But it would be great. There's a lot of good ones.
Oh, and Tony,
JD maybe might come in.
JD,
But he's
and
been
Tony in
with us for a long time.
Switzerland.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we actually have a whole crew of people from all around the world at our fingertips.
Yeah.
We really do. And they would all, I believe, they would feel comfortable just because we're here. They might as well join the party.
Hey, this is really outside our comfort zone. We did it, so
We,
so it
I
didn't kill us.
know.
It didn't kill us. We actually, I feel a lot of relief getting this out there because I've been wanting to talk about
It's
it.
so funny. You said go live on, yeah, I wasn't thinking about going live tonight, but I'm glad we did.
Yeah.
So, yeah, for sure. Well, okay, guys.
All right,
I'm going
guys.
to go ahead. Huh?
Thank you for joining us. Have
Yes.
a good night, and hopefully we'll do this again sometime.
For sure. Hopefully in the next, maybe once a week. I mean, that's my goal. I'm striving for once a week, and maybe I'll do midweek little shows. I don't know. Now that I see how this all operates, it's very easy to use, and I can see that there's a lot of potential here. So I might hop on more and more. So
Yeah, definitely.
big truck going down the road, middle of the night. It's like they're jailbreaking. Anyway,
all right, Rebecca.
thank you all. Thank you, Jesus.
Okay.
And I'm going to go ahead and hit the end stream button up here. And I will be chatting with you all soon on Facebook and wherever else. So, okay.
Bye.
Chat with you all later. Bye.